record, and Pastor Nathaniel from Annie Evangelical Covenant Church.
Mayor, for the record, as of 7:03, Councilwoman Estimate Irvin is now,
Thank you very much.
and Councilman Galvin.
Thank you very much. Madam City Manager, do we have any addition,
Mayor, we would like
deletion,
to,
amendments, or deferral
yeah,
to the
to
agenda?
move item tab F to the,
I don't.
Yeah. Hard for us to hear behind the plastic.
tab F to the consent agenda, and also that M and P to be recognized as companion items.
Gonna move tab M to the consent.
Tab F to consent,
F.
yes.
Okay, add it. And the other one is what?
Tab M and P will stay on the regular agenda, but those are companion items.
Okay.
Mayor, I would ask that tab P be taken right after tab M.
Tab P.
Yes, P as in
After
Paul,
M.
right after M as in Mike.
After M, N, and P, or you want after M, you want P?
Yes, correct.
Okay. Thank you very much. The agenda set. The city attorney.
Yes, Mayor, the agenda set, you may proceed.
Thank you very much. And now we have special presentation with Commander Brunson about COVID-19, hurricane preparedness. Commander Brunson? Commander Brunson, oh, please can you use the mic?
Test 1, 2. Yeah, I can't even hear myself. They might need to turn it up out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Testing. Good evening, Mayor and Council, all of our residents and friends. Commander Angelo Brinson, Emergency Manager. I come before you at this time for a brief update on hurricanes and COVID-19. At this time, we are not monitoring any storms in the Atlantic, the Caribbean, or the Gulf of Mexico that may affect South Florida. As always, we'll continue to monitor and provide timely updates for any storm that threatens South Florida. As we all continue to deal with the worldwide COVID-19 pandemic, let us not forget that the best tools that we have available for all of us to stop the spread of COVID-19 is to wear a mask, social distancing, sanitize your hands frequently, and get the COVID-19 vaccine. Vaccines are available for everyone 12 and older, and you can receive a free vaccine at many local retailers all around Miami-Dade County. This includes places like Publix, CVS, Walgreens, and Walmart, just to name a few. This is very important to make sure that we get tested, to make sure that we don't unknowingly pass the COVID-19 infection over to our friends, coworkers, and family members. So testing sites are available all over Miami-Dade County. Our mayor and council, in cooperation with World Safe First, has set up a testing site at Gwen Margolis. That is 1590 Northeast 123rd Street. This testing site is open Monday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. for testing. Vaccinations are available by appointments only on Saturdays. You can call 1-800-935-9505 to make an appointment for your COVID-19 vaccine, or you can just visit the location Monday through Saturday, 11 to 7 for your test. They offer the rapid test and the PCR swab. And also we have testing available at Northeast 8th Avenue and 135th Street at Cagney Park in the parking lot. So I say again, get tested, get vaccinated, and let's stop the spread of COVID-19. I'll take any questions.
I didn't know about the new location you mentioned that we did, but are you working on a plan to either get a testing site at Joe Celestine or somewhere around there, sir?
Our plan is to open up a testing site with WorldSafe, a second site at Joe Celestine. They were just getting the first one up and running, and then shortly in the near future, they plan to open up a second site and run both of them at the same time.
Oh, great. Thank you.
Commander, Mr. Mayor, may I?
Yes.
Commander, hopefully you can hear me.
Yes.
I know the city manager texted me late this afternoon, but if you will share with the company, I've had several complaints about them. That people aren't able to get their test results in a timely manner. And B, their 1-800 number that they have set up for residents to call in is basically inoperable. Now, the city manager spoke to them, and hopefully it's operable now, but please let them know that it's great if we want people to come in and get tested, but if there's not ability to get the results quickly, it was a wasted energy. So if you will.
Yes, sir. I'm in contact with them, and I believe the issue was worked out right before this council meeting. I called the line several times to make sure that I can get through, and I was able to get right through. And the test results, once you get tested there, the results will be emailed to the person, or if they don't have an email or they don't get the email, they can call the 1-800 number, and they'll assist them with getting those results. But hopefully, the issues that were there before have been worked out.
Thank you.
Thank you. You asked that question, just remind me, I have another question.
Yes.
Is that the same company that was there at the back to school? Is that a different company that was there on Saturday?
This Saturday, yes. I believe they were there at the mayor's backpack
Okay.
giveaway this coming Saturday.
Okay, all right, I'm just wondering.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
very much. There's no other question. Thank you, Commander Benson. And now we have the quarterly budget presentation. We didn't do it before we leave, no? Madam City Manager, we didn't do a quarterly, no? I'm talking about the budget presentation. We didn't do it before we leave, no?
Oh,
That
that was the second quarter. The third quarter is now. The second quarter was a little behind. The last meeting was the second quarter, and the prior to that, and was also the CAFR report. So these are the third quarter, ending July 31st.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Mr. Mayor, may I ask, City Manager, I want to move this to the next agenda, but I'm not going to, as long as everybody makes it like really quick. We've got another 1 a.m. agenda in front of us. And
Yeah.
I hate for the first hour to be staff presentations. No offense.
Yeah, we can. Is there any? Can we have 2 minutes, 3 minutes for the presentation, since
I saw the slide.
the residents are here? Maybe they wanna. Some of them may come for just for that. Please be short. Okay. Go ahead, sir. Well, thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Roy Brown, Budget Manager. Today we'll go through the third quarter expenditure and revenue report. We'll start with an all funds overview, and then we'll go into details with the general fund, enterprise fund, special revenue fund, transportation fund, the capital fund, internal services fund, and all the others. Starting off with the overview of all funds, you see that there have been $33.2 million in budget amendments. They include purchase orders, reappropriations for $15.2 million.
Excuse me, Mr. Mayor, may I? Or do we have a copy of the presentation?
Yeah.
Okay.
You.
Claude, would you mind pulling it up?
He needs to go on the other one.
So I'll continue where I left off. The budget sees about $33.2 million in budget amendments. They include $15.7 million in purchase orders, $15.2 million in reappropriations, $1.1 million in CARES Act funding, $0.4 million in miscellaneous grants and donations, $0.6 million in CDBG recovery, and $0.2 million in miscellaneous budget amendments. Moving on to the next page. Here's the general fund outlook through the third quarter. The major components here include property taxes, other taxes, licenses and permits, intergovernmental revenue, charges for services, fines and forfeitures, miscellaneous revenues, and non-revenues. Property taxes are at 94%, and the year-end shows that we will collect 98% for ad valorem. Other taxes are at 56%, and year-end estimates are showing that we will collect 93% by the end of the year. Licenses and permits, year-end estimates are expected to exceed what was budgeted, as we have already collected 94% through June 30th. Intergovernmental revenues are at 72%. Year-end estimates are expected to come in more than originally budgeted. Charges for services are at 49%. Year-end estimates are expected to come in at 79%. This shortfall is due to the effect that COVID-19 had on our parks and recreation and on our off-duty policing demand. Fines and forfeitures are at 61%. The year-end estimates are expected to come in less than budgeted, primarily due to shortfalls in code compliance revenue. Miscellaneous revenues are expected to come in at 85% by the end of the year. And between July 1st, 2021 and September 30th, 2021, which is the fourth quarter, we are expected to bring in $16.3 million, which will bring us to $62 million for the year. Next page. The next page includes the third quarter general fund expenditures. The city manager's department expenditures are at 85%. This is primarily due to unexpected employee benefit payouts. The office of the city clerk expenditures are at 55%. This does not meet the 75% threshold. We just recently received a check for the elections. That will be reflected in the fourth quarter. Non-departmental expenditures are at 20%, primarily due to the $1.1 million budgeted for capital projects. It's not yet been expended, but additional expenses will appear during the fourth quarter. Same with housing and social services. They're at 34%, but we will see more expenditures in the fourth quarter. All other departments are on target as they are close to the 75% threshold for third quarter reporting. The next slide includes third quarter expenditures by category. First thing you see is the salaries at 81%. Again, this is slightly over due to $1.3 million in employee benefit payouts through the third quarter. Benefits are at 86% through the third quarter, and this is due to a one-time pension cost of $8.1 million. Operating costs are at 54%. Expenses will be reflected in the fourth quarter. And most importantly, capital expenses are at the 2%, and this is the same $1.1 million budgeted for capital projects that's not yet expended. Moving on to the enterprise funds, we have water and sewer, water fire flow demand, and stormwater. Water and sewer and stormwater revenues reflected here are the actual dollars collected. Water revenues are recognized as payments are received, same with stormwater revenues, and customers are billed for water and sewer and stormwater charges monthly or quarterly. Next slide. Special revenues. This is the first year that building fund is separated from the general fund, so they are here in the special revenue section. Revenues are slightly below the 75% mark, but they remain above the level of expenditures, and this is a good sign. CDBG, HIP, and SP, they all include disaster COVID amendments, which is why their amended budget is higher than usual. Miscellaneous grant funds include nearly $1 million in CARES Act money, which is why the revenues exceed the 457%. CARES Act funding was removed from the general fund. CARES Act expenses and revenues were removed from the general fund and transferred to the miscellaneous grants fund, and that's why you see the 1.065. Moving on to transportation funds, we have the half-cent surtax and the gas tax. We're projecting to receive $3.5 million in half-cent surtax by the end of the year, and gas tax revenues are expected to come in as budgeted. I'm going to move on to internal service funds. This includes our fleet management and our risk management funds. These funds receive revenue from the operating fund to cover the cost of premiums, administrative charges, third-party administrators, workers' compensation, general liability insurance, claims, and fleet maintenance services. Fleet management is at 56% through the year, revenue-wise, and 45% for expenditures. The revenues are over the expenditures, which is a good sign. Risk management revenues are at 36% compared to 37% on the expense side. Next slide is the last slide, and we're going to talk about the debt service fund. This is the pension loan repayment, which is an annual debt service. It's allocated as a reserve to departments, and based on the prior year, and it's based on the prior year adopted budget. The primary source for this is the interfund transfers, and that concludes the presentation. Are there any questions?
Thank you very much, and Madam City Manager. We don't have that. Mayor and Council,
These were
office,
No, there was a memo.
budget. Oh, you got it.
I believe these were emailed to the council.
I'm talking about printed. They're supposed to be printed and put it up there.
They weren't printed, they were emailed to us this afternoon. They're not printed.
No question for budget? He's leaving. Oh, okay. Okay. Thank you very much.
But I do,
City was.
yeah, I do want to say next week, Madam Manager, if we would get together with, along with the assistant and Roy, to go over these numbers in due time. Right,
Yeah.
thank you.
I'd like that too as well.
We have a budget meeting, I have a budget meeting scheduled with each of you this week.
Right,
So
okay.
we'll
Oh,
go over
okay.
it, yeah.
You're saying this week?
Yes, this week.
Okay, I don't know if this week will work, but okay, we'll make it. We'll do what we do. Okay, thank you.
All right. Miguel Augustin, Finance Director. I'll be doing a brief presentation of the third quarter finance cash report. Right. So briefly, as you can see, this
Okay, I'm so
Are
sorry.
you
Do
able
we have this report? I don't think we have that report. That was emailed
Both
as well?
reports were emailed together this afternoon.
Yeah, but you should have a copy for us. This afternoon, you said this afternoon, it should be available to us. Usually, you're supposed to print it and bring it to us. You say email this afternoon. Not
So
everybody
I don't,
read email this afternoon.
you know what time?
Would you
Because I
like to
don't have-
move it to the next?
Yes, please. Can you?
I'll make a
can we move
motion to
it?
continue this
And
to the
those
next
things, man.
city
You
council
gotta
meeting.
make sure we have a copy available. You said this afternoon. Not everybody's on the email 24/7. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Madam City Clerk, you have some appointments.
We just need a motion to move for these board appointments.
I can't hear.
It's
Something going on?
Madam Clerk, we didn't hear you, I'm sorry.
I just need a motion to move the appointments for the boards and commissions that are listed.
I don't know.
Motion to approve.
So move. I see.
I'm
Yes.
sorry, I
Yes,
can't
sir.
hear anyone,
Yeah, no.
even though you're
Motion
behind
to
me.
approve?
So move. Yes, ma'am.
You have a motion, and a second.
So a motion has been made by Councilwoman Estimate Irvin, seconded by Councilman Desilme. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes with a 5-0 vote.
Thank you very much. Consent agenda.
Unless a specific member of the City Council wishes to remove a specific item from this portion of the agenda, tabs A through F constitute the consent agenda. These resolutions and items are self-explanatory and are not expected to require additional review or discussion. These items will be recorded as individually numbered resolutions adopted unanimously by the following motion: that the consent agenda comprised of tabs A through F be adopted.
Can I hear a motion on the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion made by Councilman Galvin to approve the consent agenda. The motion was seconded by Councilwoman Estimate Irvin. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries with a 5-0 vote.
Tab G.
Tab G, a proposed resolution of the Mayor and City Council of the City of North Miami, Florida, approving the Evaluation Committee's results and selection of MC Spence Group, LLC, doing business as Smoothie Express Miami Shores for the operation and management of the Library Cafe at the North Miami Public Library, in accordance with the terms, conditions, and specifications contained in RFP number 30-20-21, and further authorizing the city manager and city attorney to negotiate and execute an agreement with the selected contractor, providing for an effective date and all other purposes. Tab G.
Thank you very much. Can you go quick, sir?
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
And Mr. Mayor, excuse me, if you would allow me, I meant to, I'm okay with the consented agenda, but I had some question in tab D. And I forgot.
Okay. And
Would you allow that?
yeah, we come after
So-
that.
I'm sorry?
You already passed. You wanna?
But it's question to Mr.
Oh, okay, okay.
Right. So tab D for the benches?
Question filed, but okay. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, this is the sole vendor, correct? We didn't go out, you know what I'm talking about, the benches?
The bus
This is
benches,
for
the
the-
3 bus benches that we have to.
Yeah.
Right, this is
We
actually, for the record, Alberto Estrada, Purchasing Director, it's actually for the purchase of the bus shelters, the shelters. Not the benches, but the shelters.
I'm sorry,
shelters.
the shelters,
That's correct.
right.
And this is a replacement of the ones that were there, that were damaged and need to be replaced. And this is the manufacturer and the brand that was there before. And so this is the one that we're replacing it with.
I get it, but my concern is that it didn't go out to bid, and I wanted to know why.
Well, this is the, again, this is the one brand, the manufacturer that's being used is the one that the Public Works Department maintains. This is the one that, in fact, we have in several other bus shelters. So I guess, yeah, you could look at it as this was a sort of a sole purchase, sole source purchase for these bus shelters.
So,
And how
if
are
I
we
can
sure
res-
of that? Because
well, if I can respond, these bus shelters, they need to match the other ones that are there. We had an actual distributor, a manufacturer, so we replaced what was broken with the same type of bus shelter.
And that's fine. So what brought this to my attention was that there was a company that had it before that was insolvent. So that shows to me that there's other companies that could do that, and I just wanted to understand why we only bid it to one bid. I mean,
Are we talking about the bus benches versus
Is
the
that-
bus shelters?
is that correct, Mr.
No,
Estrada?
it's the bus
Bus
shelters.
shelters,
These are the
not
ones that are being
benches.
purchased. If it's the council's, preference, and if you'd like for us to go out and try to get some prices, we'll be glad to do so. But again, we're simply replacing the ones that were there, and that's what is being done here.
Right, you're replacing the ones you're replacing 3, there are 10, and then
Right.
to replace the other 7 in the future. So I just
correct.
I just want an understanding,
Right.
because we normally would bid things out, and we've waived it before, and that's fine. I just
Right.
want to understand what was the reasoning behind that.
Again, if it's a council's preference, we'll be glad to.
No, it's
withdraw
two
the
different
rest.
things, Alberto.
Right.
It's the factory, it's the manufacturer actually that did those, and we just have to replace that. Now, if we wanna choose a different type of one, we can bid it out and maybe get another company. But they're the one that did that one before. We're just using the same manufacturer.
They're their
So-
own manufacturer and distributor. So They are the manufacturer and distributor, which means they make them and they give them out. So if we were to want something else or put out to bid, it's either, even if we got it from them, we would either get it from them or we'd get a whole different type of shelter from other companies. And they might not match the other 7 that we have. So this is why this was broken here, so we went back to the same manufacturer and distributor.
The Assistant Director of Public Works is here. Perhaps he can add.
Good evening.
Yes.
Thomas Positano, Assistant Public Works Director. If I can maybe answer your question. We had originally 10 of these Kamasua bus shelters that the company no longer is in business. So we can't get parts for them, we can't repair them. They're expensive to try and repair. So we have 30 of these Bayline from Brasco shelters already in the city. So we're trying to get the other 10 to match so that we have all the same kind, so that when we order parts and replacement glass panels, they're all uniform.
And that's all I was trying to understand, and that's fine.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much. And now, that's for tab D.
Yes.
Okay. Now, tab G. Now.
All right, moving on to tab G. Once again, for the record, Alberto Estrada, Purchasing Director. The recommendation that you have under tab G is a recommendation made by the Evaluation Committee in response to RFP 30-2021, which was a solicitation issued by the Purchasing Department in collaboration with the city's library staff for the operation and management of the library's cafe space. In response to this solicitation, the only proposal that was received and submitted was by the recommended vendor, the company by the name of MC Spence Group. Their proposal was subsequently submitted to the Evaluation Committee for their review and evaluation. The library's director, Ms. Lucia Gonzalez, was the lead on that evaluation committee, and she was a part of the committee. And she obviously is here if she wants to make any comments. The proposed agreement before you is for an initial 2-year term with the option to renew for 3 additional years. This is really a revenue-generating agreement. The vendor has agreed to pay the city $787.50 a month. And also, there will be an opportunity for additional revenue sharing with the vendor. And this will take place shortly after they begin operations. And I'd like to give an opportunity for the library director, Ms. Lucia Gonzalez, to say a few words on the matter.
If we have any question, let's open it to the public, and then after that, if there's, it's just the cafeteria, right? The cafe at the library. Okay. Thank you. Public hearing is open on tab G.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for attending this evening's regular council meeting. This meeting will allow live public comment by attendees, and public hearing will take place upon announcement by the chair of the meeting, Mayor Philippe Bien-Aimé. Please don't forget to state your full name and complete address for the record. If you do wish to speak in favor of, object to, or comment on a quasi-judicial item, please complete a public speaker card indicating the agenda item on which you would like to comment. This evening's quasi-judicial item is located at tab Q. You must be sworn in before addressing the City Council, and you may be subject to cross-examination. If you refuse to submit to cross-examination, the City Council will not consider your comments in its final deliberation. Please also disclose any ex parte communications you may have had with any members of the City Council. City Council members must do the same. Comment cards are located in the lobby and near the entrance of council chambers. You may also scan the QR codes that are on the signs to submit a comment online. Please remember that you will have up to 3 minutes to make your comment. Thank you in advance for your understanding and your feedback.
Thank you very much. Public hearing is open on tab G. Public hearing is now closed. Thank you very much. Do we have any questions?
Just a real quick question for Ms. Gonzalez. What happens to the pop-up library book, this bookstore?
Councilman, Mayor, members of council. Lucia Gonzalez, Library Director. Currently, the space is being used by the Friends of the North Miami Public Library very creatively to do an ongoing book sale. It is a beautiful space, and it's generating, of course, support for the Friends of the Library that sponsor all our programs at the library. That will go away, but they will continue to have a space as they used to for an ongoing book sale, and then they'll have, hopefully, if all goes well, their annual book sale at the end of the year.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor?
Thank you very much.
Mayor,
Yes.
I had a question. Through the mayor to the purchasing director, when an item like this goes out to the public, what's the process? Do you just advertise it on the website? Because for $785, I'm surprised that we only got one bidder to get a rent space at the library with such prime location.
Yes, Councilwoman, we advertise it on the city's website. We also advertise it on a national website, the Demand Star, which is made available to literally thousands of vendors. We also reach out to, for instance, the North Miami Chamber of Commerce to make sure that they provide it to their membership. We reach out to also, there was an entire list of sort of local providers that we sent the information to. The library director also recommended some vendors, so we put out as much as we possibly could, put the word out. And it's just simply, sometimes this is what happens. You just get one response to that.
Okay.
So,
No, just wanted to make sure that we're, strategically working with economic development to reach out to the different businesses, because I think this is an opportunity that, a lot of business owners would jump at if they knew about it. But I see you took all the appropriate steps. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes, Councilwoman Estimerovan.
Ms. Estrada, how long was it advertised? For how long?
we typically advertise for about 30 days. This one was issued on April 6th of this year, and the proposals came in on June 10th. So as you can see, it was literally, what would that be, about 45 days, if you will?
Right, and who was there before? This is not the same company that was there before, right?
This is sort of the third iteration, if you will. We've had two other vendors, and I'll let the library director speak a little bit more on that, but we had two other vendors before this. But Lucia, if you'd like to add to it.
Yes, if I may, we had an earlier vendor, the very first one, who had an accident and had to leave the contract. Immediately after that, Downtown Book Center got the next contract, and they were there until the early part of 2020, and unfortunately, 2020 did away with them. And so now we have to start all over again.
Okay. And you mentioned they're going to pay $786 in rent. How soon will they do that?
They'll be paying $787.50 a month. They will start doing that after the third month. We've given them, we've given them 3 months to be able to sort of begin to prepare for operations. I mean, it always takes a while to sort of set up, get the necessary permits. It doesn't happen overnight, and they really can't start doing any work there until this council approves the contract and we go ahead and finalize and execute the contract. So there's always some sort of upfront work that they have to do. And, you know, and the one thing is we want to make sure that it's successful for the patrons of the library. So when we negotiated with them, we felt about 3 months was a fair period of time.
And what about the revenue sharing?
The revenue sharing, I'll let Lucia add to it, but this is something that's going to be negotiated later, approximately about 8 months later. But go ahead, Lucia, if you'd like to add to that.
Right, Councilwoman. The purpose of the cafe, the primary purpose of the cafe is to enhance the library experience of our community members. And we want to make sure that they succeed. It is in our interest that they succeed in their venture. It is a unique joint private and public venture that hopefully will work. And it is, I think it would be very successful because this would be a satellite location of an already established business. So they will be able to provide a very diverse menu and all that. So after the first few months of them being in business, once they know their clientele and when they're able to reach out to the larger, not the passive clientele, but the community at large, hopefully build up a strong base, I think they will be then more likely to be on their way to success, which is what I want, because it is what it's convenient for us in the long run. Eventually, it will be a wonderful revenue generating opportunity for the library, for the city, matter of fact. So we want to make sure that they're placed correctly and that they have that opportunity.
Thank you very much. Can I have your motion on tab G?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion made by Councilman Galvin to approve the item at tab G. The motion was seconded by Councilwoman Estimate Irvin. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries with a 5-0 vote.
Thank you very much. Tab H.
Tab H, a proposed resolution of the Mayor and City Council of the City of North Miami, Florida, authorizing the city manager to issue purchase orders to LITS in the initial amount, in the initial amount of $122,301.98, with an annual subscription amount not to exceed $66,000, utilizing the cooperative purchasing provision pursuant to Section 7-169 of the City Code, on a contract awarded through the Sourcewell Cooperative Purchasing Program for the continued operation of the city's DriveCam program for 200 vehicles for a term of 5 years, providing for an effective date and for all other purposes. Tab H.
Once again, for the record, Alberto Estrada, Purchasing Director. The item that you have before you is simply to request council's approval to issue purchase orders to a company by the name of LYTX, which is actually an ongoing program. It's referred to as a DriveCam program. It is a program that's been very successful for several years now. This is actually managed by our risk management department, by the director of the risk management department, Ms. Karen Muir. We currently have 157 vehicles participating in this program. The intent of the program is to prevent risky driving behaviors and to improve our employee driver safety through monitoring and also coaching them in an effort to reduce accidents and injuries. The item that you have before you not only would extend this program, but it is also requesting to add an additional 43 vehicles. Currently, there are several departments that are participating in this program, including our police department, code compliance, public works, parks, information technology, building and zoning, etc. Once again, this is a program that's really been coordinated and administered by Ms. Karen Muir, and she's with us. And if you have any questions, or Karen, if you'd like to add something.
Thank you very much. Let's open it to the public. Public hearing is open on tab H. Public hearing is open on tab H. Public hearing is now closed.
Move approval.
Second, with questions?
There's no question? No.
Yes.
I just have
Yeah.
one. Oh, hello, can you hear? Okay. No, I know Karen, you, Mr. Muir, you saved the city a lot of money with, the city being self-insured. So I just wanted to thank you for that. I think a lot of times when we get questions about insurance for our events and so forth, I know it's your staff upstairs who are the ones procuring we do insurance in-house. So I just wanted to say thank you for that.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Clerk.
I have a motion made by Councilman Galvin to approve the item at tab H. The motion was seconded by Mayor Biename. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The
Tab
motion
I.
carries with a 4-1 vote.
Tab I.
Tab I, a proposed resolution of the Mayor and City Council of the City of North Miami, Florida, authorizing the City of North Miami to join with the State of Florida and other local governmental units as a participant in the Florida Memorandum of Understanding and formal agreements implementing a unified plan resolving the State of Florida's opioid litigation and providing for an effective date and all other purposes.
City Attorney.
Mayor, Council. Okay. Yes, thank you, Mayor. As stated in the staff report, in May of 2018, and everyone may have heard about it in the news, in May of 2018, the Florida Attorney General's office filed an action against the opioid manufacturers. Other states joined in on that lawsuit, and today there's a settlement discussions. Florida is slated to receive $1.3 billion over the next 17 years and another additional $300 million over the next 9 years. What we're asking today is we were asked by the litigants, the attorneys representing the litigants, whether we wanted to be a party to this. In order to receive these funds in the future, we would have to today pass a resolution stating that we wish to be a part of this settlement, and that will open us up to later on. I know I've had some questions about how much does this mean. I think it's really too early right now. I don't know how much we'll get. I don't know how we'll be able to use the money. But if we want any dollars at all, we need to be a part of this, and that's the best I can tell you right now.
Thank you
And
very
so we
much.
hope that you will support this item.
Thank you very much. Public hearing is open on tab I. Public hearing is now closed. Can I have a motion on tab I?
Second.
I have a motion made by Councilwoman Estimate Irvin to approve the item at tab I. The motion was seconded by Councilman Desilme. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries with a 5-0 vote.
Tab J.
Tab J, a proposed resolution of the Mayor and City Council of the City of North Miami, Florida, approving the execution of a memorandum of understanding agreement between the City of North Miami and the School Board of Miami-Dade County to provide for the placement of school-based law enforcement officers in Miami-Dade County public school sites, and providing for an effective date and for all other purposes. Tab J.
Chief.
Good evening, everyone. Chief Larry Juriga. Mayor and Council, this is a request for us to have a memorandum of understanding with the school board in order for us to protect our children in the school in the event Miami-Dade School Police cannot cover them.
Thank you very much. Public hearing is now open on tab J. Public hearing is open on tab J. Public hearing is now closed. If there is no question.
A motion to approve, but I just have a question.
Yes, go ahead.
Hi, Chief. Always a pleasure.
Good evening.
On average, how many of our police officers are designated to step in, and how often? Is it on a regular basis or as needed, or?
Over the past 2 years, we've been covering all 7 elementary schools within North Miami. However, in the upcoming school year, it looks as though Miami-Dade School Police will be able to cover them. But we want to be prepared with this agreement in the event they're not able to, so that we can have our officers in there.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is set aside, well, this is reimbursable anyway, right? So if they use us, they reimburse us?
If we work it, they'll cover each day that we work in each school, $390.76.
But we're anticipating this year that we may not be in use like we have been in the past?
Correct, and if we do have to work it, the first couple schools that we'll cover will be with our part-time school safety officers, and you can see that later in the document. They make approximately $45,600 a year, so the $390 will more than cover their cost.
Okay, that's all. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councilman Desilme.
No. So
No
that was it.
question?
So
No,
I
thank
move
you,
for
Chief.
approval.
Second.
I have a motion made by Councilwoman Estimate Irvin to approve the item at tab J. The motion was seconded by Councilman Desilme. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries with a 5-0 vote.
Thank you very much. Tab K.
Tab K, a proposed resolution of the Mayor and City Council of the City of North Miami, Florida, authorizing the city manager to negotiate and execute an agreement with Aleguez Architecture, Inc. for the provision of architectural design services for the Breezeswept Park and Tot Lot project in an amount not to exceed $131,400 in accordance with the terms, conditions, and specifications contained in request for qualifications number 08-17-18, providing for an effective date and for all other purposes. Tab K.
Yes, sir.
Once again, Alberto Estrada, Purchasing Director. The item before you is a request for your approval to enter into an agreement with Aleguez Architecture, Inc. To provide the city with the necessary architectural and engineering design for the Breezeswept Park and Tot Lot project. As reflected in the council report, this firm is on the city's pre-approved list of architects selected by council on February 12, 2019. Accordingly, staff has negotiated an agreement with the firm for this project, which is located at 12501 Northeast 2nd Avenue. The proposed improvements to the park include but are not limited to the replacement of playground equipment, the restoration of the basketball courts, addition of a spray ground and bathroom facility, addition of a larger pavilion, installation of a wrought iron fence, landscaping, and installation of passive equipment such as park benches and lighting. The scope of services to be provided by the architectural firm includes schematic design and development, development construction documents and landscape plans, permitting, bidding assistance, construction administration services, and project closeout. Given the above, staff is requesting your approval to enter an agreement with Allegues Architecture in order to proceed with the above-mentioned project. Here with me today in support of this recommendation is the city's capital projects manager, Mr. Jefferson Geimer, as well as also the Parks Director, Mr. Sam Brinson, who's back there. And if you have any questions, we'll be glad to take them.
Thank you very much, Councilman Estime. Do you have any comments or anything before we move it to the public?
No, we can move it to the public first.
Okay,
It's fine.
public
Thank
hearing
you.
is open on tab K.
Jim Garrett, 11111 Biscayne Boulevard, Unit 1A. And I paid my mom taxes for this fiscal year, okay, before she left. And she moved. We're going to move back into North Miami. We were just looking for a unit. This is pretty high, the fees. I'm not against a tot lot. I'm not against basketball courts. I'm not against splash pools. But we're putting too much in one park. And the architectural fees, because I know my father's an architect, and I had him look at it, usually they run 2% to 12%. 12% is like a major project, like a metro rail station or a student center down at Miami-Dade South Campus, Miami-Dade Community College South. I'm going to give you some recommendations. Number one, the splash pool, I think that should be over in Griffin Park for the whole community instead of a tot lot. Number two, the basketball courts. There's still old shuffleboard courts that we can tear up on the north or south of Griffin and put in probably 2 lighted courts. Number three, tot lots. If we're going to do one tot lot, let's do all 4. Like one master plan, we just, like McDonald's. We can do Sunkist, we can do Breeze Swept, we probably can do a Brisade, and another tot lot in the city. I mean, we're talking about a project of $800,000, I understood, and we're spending $131,000. That's over like 16.7%. And look at the specifics. You have clerical work at a high rate. I'm not going to say what the rate is. I don't want to embarrass no one. But what we need to do is be more fiscal prudent. I'm for the tot lot. It needs to be replaced. It's been over 30 years. I know that. We do need basketball courts in this neighborhood for the youth. And we need something for the kids, for the little kids to splash around. Well, I live up in, thank you.
Thank you very much. Tab K is open to the public. Public hearing is open on tab K. Public hearing is now closed. Councilman Estime.
Move for approval?
Second.
Thanks. A quick question. Mr. Schrader, you put out the bid, correct?
No, this is
This is-
a negotiated fee. It's negotiated.
What does
Professional
that mean?
services are negotiated. They're not bid.
Yeah, no, I'm full in support of the item, but when he said that, I just have a couple of questions, quick questions. So what does that mean? Because I didn't know about that. What does that mean when you say full?
Well, what this kind of a contract is a professional services contract. It falls under CCNA, which is a state statute that governs these kinds of services.
What kind of services? I'm trying to figure out.
Professional architectural engineering services. It falls under section 287.055 of the Florida statute. And that particular statute actually requires that each contract, each of these services must be individually negotiated. In other words, you cannot sort of shop prices and bid shop. And I'd like to add something, just for the record. With all due respect to the gentleman, this is not, the fee that's been negotiated is roughly in the neighborhood of about 16%, 15 to 16%. And I can tell you that that's pretty much the going rate for these type of services is in the neighborhood of 15 to 16%. You're not going to find
No, I'm fine with that. My question was, were you able to, did you get one vendor? Are they part of our vendor pool? Or how did they just, what was selected?
This is a company that was selected by this council in February 2019.
And then you went and
They're
negotiated with them?
pre-qualified by the council, and then you negotiate as the projects are assigned. It was one of the top-ranked firms
So,
selected by the...
again, this has nothing to do with the project. I'm trying to get to
Sure.
the mechanism, how we get here.
Sure.
So if the firm said it would have been $1 million, so how would you go about that? You would have said, you would bring it to us, so that they would understand, the public. I'm trying to make them understand how it works, because I'm a little confused. I think I get it, but explain to us, maybe we'll all get it.
The way this works is that you assign a project to the firm, you review the scope of services, the scope of work, they submit a proposal to you, they provide a breakdown of that proposal. The proposal includes the level of effort, the hours, the man hours as they call it, the different categories, and negotiated rates, and you sit down and negotiate.
Okay.
It's like any negotiation.
Got it. And the reason that I say that, Mr. Mayor, just so whoever is watching will know, as a professional, I guess your staff and stuff, so you would know the average standard price around, these things. So it's not something that they'll give you $500,000. You'd be like, okay, I'm negotiating from the $500,000 to go down. You know that $500,000 is not it's not a good starter. And you know the rates in terms of it professionally.
I've only been doing this for about 20 years, Councilman, so. I
Okay,
think
so what does that mean? That does not mean anything, so.
Again,
what
I've been
does that mean?
negotiating contracts for approximately 20 years.
So my question is, so you know what you're doing in terms of,
Yes, sir.
there you go. That's
Yes,
all
sir.
I needed to know. Thank you.
So I
Madam
move for
Clerk.
approval, and I'm very excited about this. You did.
I have a motion made by Councilwoman Estimé Irvin to approve the item at tab K. The motion was seconded by Councilman Galvin. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries with a 5-0 vote.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Tab L.
Tab L, a proposed second reading ordinance of the Mayor and City Council of the City of North Miami, Florida, providing for a text amendment to Chapter 29 of the City of North Miami Code of Ordinances by amending Article 4, Division 2, entitled Zoning Districts, specifically at Section 4-203, modifying dwelling unit sizes for mixed-use projects and establishing maximum unit size for detached accessory dwelling units. Article 5, Division 1, entitled Accessory Uses and Structures, specifically at Section 5-101, entitled Accessory Uses and Structures, Permits Required, to allow detached accessory dwelling units in the R1 and R2 zoning districts, and Section 5-102, entitled Accessory Dwelling Units, to establish standards for detached accessory dwelling units. And Article 7, entitled Definitions, amending the term affordable to require identification and publishing of surplus property suitable for affordable housing, providing for repeal, conflict, severability, correction of Scrivener's errors, codification, and for an effective date. Tab L.
Thank you very much. Yes.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and Council. Tanya Wilson with Community Planning and Development. This is a second reading of a text amendment that's proposed to the city's land development regulations. Currently, Miami-Dade County is considered one of the most cost-burdened areas in the entire state. A Shinberg study showed that over 50%, that's half the residents in Miami-Dade County, spend more than 30% of their average income on housing. So in this effort, the city of North Miami has always taken affordable housing as one of its primary initiatives. We focused on monetary programs. We've had first-time home buyers, housing assistance programs over the years. What this initiative looks to do is further a regulatory approach, looking at policies that we can put in place to help to create more affordable housing in the city. So I'm going to walk you through, even though we had this presentation before, it's been several weeks, just walk the mayor and council through what this proposed initiative would entail. So Florida statutes has a requirement for each city that accessory dwelling units, those are also known as granny flats, should be considered as one of the approaches that cities employ to create affordable housing. So in this initiative, in this ordinance, we've looked to create regulations that would help to administer that program of accessory dwelling units in the city. We know that we have 65 already on the books that are legal, in place, have been here for several decades. What the code currently allows is that no new accessory dwelling units could be created. Only 65 are in place currently. If approved tonight, this would allow for new accessory dwelling units to be created with proper regulations in place to make sure that they come in, they're safe, and they're consistent with the current neighborhoods that are in place. So as proposed, the request is for these units to be allowed within the single-family districts of the city, both the R1 and the R2 districts. The second proposal in this ordinance would look to create uniformity through all the redevelopment areas of the city. Currently, we have a minimum dwelling unit size of 500 square feet that's allowed within the North Miami TOD district as well as the SD TOD district. All the other districts allow for 750 as a minimum square footage. So this is an irregularity in the code that staff is requesting that we create a change in the code to have uniformity across all the redevelopment districts. So that's the second approach. So I'll walk you through what the granny flat regulation would allow for, so you can see the proposed regulation. So as proposed, the minimum lot size that is being recommended is 12,500 square feet. So any lot that would create this granny flat has to have at least 12,500 square feet in place. Only one accessory dwelling unit is being recommended per lot to be created in the residential district. There's also a minimum dwelling unit size that's being recommended of 500 square feet. There's a maximum that's being recommended, no more than 25% of the principal dwelling unit. In terms of the criteria for design, we're recommending that it at least be harmonious in architecture, in color, and in style when these units are created, so they are at least coordinated with the current principal unit that's in place in the neighborhoods. There is a parking requirement that's being recommended. For each accessory unit that's created, there should be one parking space, is a recommendation. There should be utilities that are connected to these units. None of these units can be placed on septic systems. They have to be connected to the city's sewer system. There's occupancy requirements that are recommended, no more than 2 individuals to be occupying these units. There's also noticing requirements that are recommended. If someone comes in and they're looking to pull a permit to build these units, the recommendation is that the adjacent abutting property owners be notified that the neighbor wants to create an accessory dwelling unit. And the last and important point is for the requirement for a certificate of use and a BTR. Currently in the city, any rental property has to have a CU in place. We believe that these units should be treated the same. Annually, they'll have to pull a CU. There has to be an inspection involved, so at least the city has a regulation in place that anyone that's coming in to create an accessory unit and have tenants in those units, the city should have some level of monitoring on an annual basis for these units. And lastly, this item was reviewed by the Planning Commission. The Planning Commission issued a recommendation of approval unanimously. They're also requesting that the city consider putting these accessory dwelling units in both the R1 and the R2 district, and they're in support of a minimum dwelling unit size for these accessory units. As mentioned before, this is second reading, and staff is requesting approval of this text amendment at this time.
Thank you very much. Public hearing is open. On tab L.
Mayor, we have 2 comments that were previously submitted. 3 comments. So I will begin by reading those. Carol Francis Keys, Esquire, 1911 Northeast 172nd Street, North Miami Beach, Florida, 33162. Mayor and Council, I am sorry I cannot attend this evening, but this issue is very important to the future residents of the city of North Miami. In my opinion, this ordinance will be very detrimental to the quality of life and safety of the R1 and R2 neighborhoods in years to come. This concept will only contribute to existing and future slum and blight of our neighborhoods. R1 and R2 are single-family designations and were not meant to be multifamily as this ordinance allows. While Keystone Point, an R1 neighborhood, is finally almost rid of the existing granny flats, this ordinance has been expanded to include the R1 district and will now accommodate up to an additional 500 units. Additionally, the consent is not required for the neighbors across the canals. Adding this possible blight to waterfront properties is a bad idea. My biggest concern will be the overall enforcement by code, police, and CP&D to determine if the renters are meeting the minimum 6-month lease requirements. We haven't been able to enforce Airbnb problems in our neighborhoods, even after being reported to code and the police. Also, there is no way to enforce the age and affordable requirements or even the business tax receipts. Paragraph 10 of the ordinance monitoring is really a joke, as it will never happen and no one to monitor. There is no way to enforce minimum housing standards. Current multifamily properties do have to provide licenses, but if the owner doesn't report the tenant, the city has no way to know. While the concept is good, there can be very little enforcement. Code and/or the police are not allowed to walk in someone's backyard and request to examine property or even demand a copy of a written lease. This ordinance will open the doors to future transient tenants, short-term, no written lease tenants, and with no criminal or sex offender background checks being required. True landlords of multifamily projects will be building affordable and senior housing in our city. They will abide by minimum housing standards and do background checks to protect the neighborhood. I repeat, this ordinance will be very detrimental to the quality of life and safety of the R1 and R2 neighborhoods in years to come. This is the height of bad governance. Please think carefully on this.
I'm glad she didn't hold back.
Thank you very much. Republican still open on top L.
Karen De Leon, 1935 South Hibiscus Drive, North Miami, Florida. Dear Mayor and Council, I apologize for not being in attendance. Regarding this item, I am very concerned about the impact of Granny Flats on our community. As it stands, we are having constant issues with short-term rentals, party rentals, charter boat rentals, jet ski rentals, and renters with very little regard for the family lifestyle of a single-family home designation. This ordinance will change our neighborhood to multifamily, and the issues of excess garbage, parking on sidewalks and front lawns, etc., will be multiplied. Presently, we will call upon the police for issues with speeding, illegal rentals, late-night parties, boat/trailer parking, mobile home parking, etc., on a regular basis, and we reach out to code on a daily basis for constant violations. How are they going to enforce a 6-month lease requirement? Business tax receipts. To me, this regulation challenges our overworked departments and for something we are not asking for. I am unaware of any residents asking to be able to build additional housing in their backyards. I respectfully request that this designation not be made in the R1 district and that the residents of the R2 district be surveyed prior to moving forward with this ordinance. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Public hearing still open. Public hearing.
Esther Blinn, Esquire, office address 11900 Biscayne Boulevard, Suite 269, North Miami, Florida 33181. I am Esther Blinn, a resident of District 2, and I am requesting the removal of the accessory dwelling agenda item K in the Miami Herald and L on the city website. The basis of this request is that the item is of immense import, redefining affordable housing for one to include 400 square foot dwellings, which detracts from the quality of our city's housing and needs further public hearings and community input. Thanks.
You all done?
I believe I am all done.
Thank you very much. Public hearing still open. On tab L. Public hearing is now closed. Can I motion to approve tab L?
So I have a question. Just one question.
Yes, go ahead.
Yes. Mr. Jordan, did you get a request from my office getting information on this item when you, a couple months ago when you first, or a couple weeks ago when you first presented?
Yes.
Okay, I do not have that information.
So we provided that as a part of the packet, the attachment that shows the number of lots within the city that would be impacted.
Okay, that's a problem, Madam Manager. This was presented a couple months ago, a couple weeks ago. I don't know how long it was. So that's why I was trying to figure out what was the issue. And I understand it's COVID. We all are a little bit slow on things because I am, because of the situation. But I've asked for information in order for me to make an informed decision, and I'm in full support of the item. That has nothing to do with the item. However, I had residents that was, that's why I was asking Mr. Joe, because I didn't know if you provided, if you forgot, if it was my office, so that's why I didn't comment, because I did not know. But that's a problem, and we can't have that, Madam Manager. But thank you. That's basically it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I have a motion and a second.
Mayor, I do have one more comment to read. And it reads, in the print version of the Herald Neighbors, this is also Esther Blinn, excuse me. In the print version of the Herald Neighbors as referenced
Does she
above,
have 2 minutes? The 2 minutes is
this is an extension of that, and I didn't go over the 2 minutes for it. In the print version of the Herald Neighbors, as referenced above, the tabs for which I am making separate public comment, as you directed, are as follows. Tab K is published as the second reading of accessory dwellings or granny flats, which you advised was tab L on the formal agenda on the city's website. Tabs L and O in the Herald are for the food mobile vehicles, which you advise are tabs M and P on the city website. I bring this to your attention as published notice differs from the city's website, and this issue should be addressed, and perhaps on this basis, items should be removed to the next meeting if possible. Thanks so much.
Mr. City Attorney,
That's incorrect, Mayor.
thank you very much.
I have a
Yeah.
motion made by Councilman Galvin to approve the item at tab L. The motion was seconded by Councilwoman Estime Irvin. Councilman Galvin, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mayor Bieneme, how do you vote?
Yes.
Councilwoman Timothy, how do you vote?
Yes.
Councilwoman Estime Irvin, how do you vote?
Yes.
Councilman Desame, how do you vote? The motion carries with a 5-0 vote.
Tab M.
Thank
Tab
You wanna
M,
say
a
something?
propo-
Just thank you. Thank you, council. This is a step in the needed direction.
Tab M, a proposed first reading ordinance of the Mayor and City Council of the City of North Miami, Florida, amending Chapter 29 of the City of North Miami Code of Ordinances entitled Land Development Regulations, specifically at Section 5-101 entitled Accessory Uses and Structures, establishing a new Section 5-1611 to allow mobile food dispensing vehicles to operate in particular areas of the city subject to certain standards, Section 5-1903, and Article 7 entitled Definitions, in accordance with Section 509.102(2) Florida Statutes 2020, and Section 3-302 and Sections 3-1004 through 3-1007 of the City of North Miami Code of Ordinances, Chapter 29, entitled Land Development Regulations, providing for repeal, conflict, severability, codification, and for an effective date. Tab M.
Yes, good.
Thank you. Again, for the record, Tanya Wilson with Community Planning and Development. This is the first reading of a text amendment that's related to mobile food dispensing vehicles. It's also known as food trucks. The text amendment really is in response to a Florida statute that was created that says cities have to provide some regulation to allow for the operation of food trucks within its jurisdiction. This item is sponsored by Councilman Galvin as well as Councilwoman Timothy. I'll walk you through the proposal of this text amendment. So currently in our code, mobile food trucks are allowed only in the industrial districts. It's only related to construction sites, and they can only be there for 30 minutes. So just from that description, you can tell it's a very temporary type of use within our code. If there are special events, there's an exception where the mobile food truck can operate just for that special event, and then it would have to be removed. What this ordinance seeks to do is provide a more long-standing environment for these mobile food trucks. So that way they could be comported with maybe an existing business, say a brewery, like we've had in the industrial district, to be able to complement some of the other businesses that we have within the city. So I'll describe in terms of the provision that's being proposed, how this would operate within the city of North Miami. So looking at the definition first, Florida statutes actually provide a definition just to create a framework. So the food trucks have to have within their jurisdiction a vehicle that is a public food service establishment that is self-propelled or otherwise movable from place to place and includes self-contained utilities, including but not limited to gas, water, electricity, liquid waste disposal. This definition is important because we want to be able to clarify that what's being proposed is for food and beverage. It doesn't include other types of mobile operations that you typically see, like a doggy grooming. Sometimes you see people doing things related to car washing. This is not what this is. This is specific to food and beverage as defined by the Florida statutes. So what would this entail? In terms of the location, it has to be located with a primary site. So none of the mobile food trucks can be on a public right-of-way. It can't be on a vacant lot or in any type of swale areas. It has to be related to an existing lot or an existing private property. Currently what we have is some businesses being able to lease these mobile food vending operations. So that way we know that they're in a stationary area that's safe and it's not blocking any kind of ingress and egress points. That's to be a plan for litter and debris. Definitely in terms of the signage, there needs to be limited signage, nothing that's flashing or twirling or anything that's distracting. There has to be sanitary facilities that are set aside and contemplated as a part of the business. So that way there's a safe operation there. Definitely a prohibition in terms of any flashing lights or loud sounds. And as I mentioned before, it's specific to food and beverage. We're not referring to any other type of mobile operations. There's a maximum of 2 that's being proposed. So in terms of the types of mobile operations that you'll see throughout the city, if these establishments are created in partnership with an existing property owner, they can't exceed that maximum amount of 2 food trucks on site. There's absolutely no overnight parking that's going to be allowed. It's allowed to be there in the daytime and operating like a regular business, but they certainly can't be there permanently and stay overnight. It has to be able to move and then they'd come back the following day. And they must be able to show proof of health department and proper permits that you typically would have for food handling. So this item has been reviewed by the Planning Commission. It did receive unanimous approval. Planning Commission did have 2 recommendations for the council. In terms of parking spaces, they wanted to make sure if there is a mobile operation that's on a parking space that's not paved, that there's some flexibility where our department is concerned. Also, they wanted to stress the importance that there's no nuisance or noise related to these operations. But overall, the Planning Commission was in support of this proposed mobile food truck ordinance. And that concludes staff's presentation of this item at this time.
Thank you, Ms. Wilson. Before we open, the mayor's left, so I'm going to keep the show moving. Before we open public discussion, since this is something that I proposed along with the councilwoman, I wanted to clarify something. When I put the item forward, my intent was absolutely not to infringe upon businesses, small mom and pop restaurants, things like the Luna Star Cafe on 125th Street, or, you know, a restaurant on Northwest 7th that's struggling. This is meant, I was having a beer, not, it was O'Doul's non-alcoholic, but I was having a beer at Lost City Brewing, and long story short, they don't have a kitchen, they don't have food. It would be cool if they had a food truck, but the operators had to come to us and get a special events permit every weekend. So it was just redundant. I want to help those breweries and such in the industrial district, but I don't want to harm restaurants that are established outside of the industrial district. Should we delete the word commercial district from this and just leave it at industrial if I wanted to do that? And I'll turn it back over to the mayor.
So it's at the will and pleasure of the council. What we've had is a draft that shows the mobile food vending operations in industrial and in the commercial districts as well. But if it's the will and pleasure of the council to only have it limited to the industrial areas, then that's something that can be tweaked within the ordinance that we're proposing.
Thank you. Yes. You done?
Yeah, no, we hadn't opened public hearing yet, but because I was the maker of the motion and I had the microphone for a minute,
Yes.
I just want not make.
No, if you have another question, you can keep going.
Yeah, no. I know Ms. Blinn is here. She'd like to speak on this item. So.
Yeah, we're gonna open it to the public.
Yeah.
Do you have any comments, questions?
No, I'll wait for it to be open to
Okay.
the public. Thank you.
Public hearing is open. On tab M.
If you'll be speaking on the item, please approach the podium at this time.
Yeah, tab M.
Mrs. Blinn, I don't need to read this comment into the record, correct?
Well, you can.
Okay, it's either you speak or I read it into
Oh,
the record.
well, then I'll speak.
Okay.
Okay. I think Esther Blinn, 1990 Northeast 118 Road. I was made aware of this item, but it has a different letter in the Sunday Neighbors, which all of your agenda items don't match up with the publication in August 22nd, 2021 Neighbors. Just so you know, this was the two mobile food units were L and O. They're now M and P. And I tried to drive like the wind to put my 2 cents in for the previous agenda item, but I'll go to and I missed it in opposition. But I'm in opposition to this. This is apparently, according to one of the co-sponsors, who has a vast experience on the council, came in a personal matter when he was at a brewery, and it has huge unintended consequences. The community was unaware of such a thing, and the restaurant owners throughout the city, not mom and pop, but especially mom and pop, including Evio's. Elio was trying to get here. Steve, the owner of Bagel Bar East, was trying to get here. I wasn't able to reach as many restaurants as I would have liked, who stood by us through thick and thin through the pandemic and made sure that we were fed, were enraged. And Elio especially had a history. Evio's, because when Johnson & Wales was functioning, they had interns there, and we restricted the food trucks that used to come in droves. I think this is, number one, ill-advised. Number two, needs public meetings, and especially the mayor and council to reach out to restaurants in their various districts or not. They're all opposed.
Thank you very much, Ms. Bland.
Mr. Mayor, may I clarify once again something that I said at the top of this item? I don't know if you were in the room or not. This is intended only to assist restaurants in the industrial zones. It is not intended to assist restaurants on Northeast 123rd Street, 125th Street, Biscayne Boulevard, West Dixie Highway, Northwest 7th Avenue, or any of those other commercial districts. We're going to probably strike the word commercial so it just reads industrial. But I know you know that my number is hidden and protected, and there's no way to reach me outside of this meeting. But 305-582-0710 is my cell. And next time, if you would give me the kind courtesy to call me and ask that before you run around stirring up the restaurants unneededly, I'd be very appreciated. And by the way, one of the restaurants you just mentioned called me and said they're in favor.
Thank you very much. Public hearing still open. Your time is up. Your time is up.
I need
you can come back.
Excuse me, I need to respond.
No, thank you very much.
The allegation is not correct.
Thank you very much. Public hearing still open on tab M.
Hello, my name is Gio Darter. I'm with Copper Bridge Foundation. I'm out at 12500 Northeast 4th Avenue. And I am in favor of the food trucks in North Miami. But actually, I prefer not to have it restricted to one zone. There are many parts throughout North Miami that have areas that can easily host food trucks for special events, and also other areas that actually would favor and benefit from having this not just exclusively in the industrial. Because if you're going to allow it, again, allow it to the whole city. It's a large city. There's different parts that would actually, in different parks and large lots that actually could make business. And I believe that this will introduce and for more people to come to North Miami and experience other restaurants when you do these type of open activities for North Miami, since we're becoming a very art-orientated neighborhood. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Public hearing still open on tab M.
Jim Garrett, 11111 Biscayne Boulevard, Unit 1A. On the food trucks, as an amateur businessman with 35 years of experience, I know there's a lot of restaurants out there in that sector all having, where they have the restaurant and they having a food truck. They combine. Number two, we should allow, like the gentleman said, for some special events, we should give fair game to the food trucks and to the restaurants, like when we have Brewfest, or we have a 4th of July celebrations, or anything that's in a city facility. Especially or 4th of July out at FIU, and any events at the stadium. I think it needs open competition, but we need to be fair. We need to balance it and make compromises and everything. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Public hearing still open on tab M. Public hearing is now closed. Councilman Galvin, when you said restricted to industrial, doing special events, they will be allowed. Right?
Yeah, special events are a total different, they're
doesn't
allowed
touch it
right
at all.
now, right.
Correct.
And that's what the brewery was doing, for instance, is every weekend they had to come back and get a new special events permit. We were granting them, but they had to pay the fee. It was just a bunch of rigmarole. So special events are unaffected by this. And, I don't know what the rest of the council wants to do, if we need to strike the term commercial. I'm okay with that. If we want to come back with adding commercial at a later date, once we see whether or not this works. I just am trying, as Mrs. Blinn said, I'm trying not to impact those small businesses that are trying to stay alive right now by somehow putting a food truck next door to them, and people are going to the food truck instead of their location. So,
Yes.
yeah, I understand. Again, 305-582-0710. Everybody has no problem calling me until we've got something on the agenda. Please feel free to reach out. And that's all I've got to say.
Thank you very much.
Yes. Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. This particular item, I'm a little concerned about, but I do see the intent of the maker of the item. And I was told, and I don't know if this is correct, Mr. Attorney, while you were gone, this has something to do with preemption from the state in terms of we don't really have much of a say. It is what it is, because it is going to impact the businesses, no matter how we look at it, no matter what. So I do like the suggestion of Councilman Galvin, and my suggestion was if we don't have any, if we don't have any say, because that's what Tallahassee does real bad, and that's why we got to do what we got to do to make sure we fight these preemptions where local government get to say, not Tallahassee telling us how to run local government. If we don't, which I don't think we do, is that correct, Mr. Attorney?
Actually, you skipped ahead to the next item, which is at tab P. So on tab P, what we're doing is we were preempted by the state in licensing food trucks. So we're not allowed to provide licenses, just like the way I look at it, it's almost like restaurants. We give licenses, we give a certificate of uses, and there's other zoning that we have for restaurants, but we don't actually go in and license restaurants or go and inspect them, that sort of thing. And I think that's what the state is trying to do. They're saying that we can't license them, but in terms of zoning, we can zone where they can be. And that's why the next item is to remove our language in our code that licenses food trucks.
Okay, so in terms of, we do have a little wiggle room, but not too much? In
terms of zoning,
Yes.
where food trucks can go, the state legislature left that alone and let the cities regulate that, which is why we can do this ordinance that we're talking about right now.
But we have to allow them.
In terms of licensing them, we cannot license them.
No, I'm saying the part that we have to allow them, period, right? We like the way we have it where we don't allow it right now, we can't do that, correct?
I don't know that we allowed them before, we just have to get a license.
No, okay, then I'm confused. Yeah,
I think the point he's making is that if we do nothing tonight, we leave it as is, very soon,
They
We
can be
have
anywhere.
to let food trucks go.
Yeah,
everywhere.
Yeah, that's the intent. It seems that's the intent of the state legislature.
That's what
Yes.
okay, that's what I'm trying to get at.
This
So,
at least gives us some parameters
absolutely.
to regulate where they go, where they
yes,
don't
and
go.
what we
Right.
do, and that I do want to say, I like the idea. We know they're going to, in fact, impact. There's nothing we could do, and that's the problem with Tallahassee now. So since we can't, we really don't have a choice. We need to do the best that we can because, we love food trucks, but it is going to be a problem. It's going to be a problem for the police. It's going to be a problem for everyone. So I think one of the questions that I have, I like the idea of the industrial only. I asked if there's a distance among them, because I think that could, I don't know if the state would allow that, but I like that idea. So whatever they're doing tonight, I'm supporting. You could get them, and then we limit the number of things. The only reason I'm saying that, and again, I love food trucks, but I do know they do impact the restaurants. But if you go outside our border, you do see them in front of people's houses. They all over, and we know that's probably what's going to happen with us. That's what's going to happen, and our police officers are all over, by the time they get, so it's going to be a little issue. So again, if it's only one area, at least we could help. We could know that, well, they're not supposed to be here, or whatever the case is, or limit whatever the amendment, if my colleagues wants to limit, whatever we could do, I'm okay with it, since we don't really have much choice. So it's a matter of making it better, because the folks up there are going to tell us what we got to do anyhow. So thank you.
Thank you. Councilor May Simeon, and nothing to say?
I have something, Mayor.
Yes, go ahead.
Through the mayor, Tanya, do you have a map showing, the zoning map showing where the allowable uses are? Because I know it was the NR. Can you pull that up so that we can see it collectively? Because I know I was playing with Gridix to see what areas. I know right now we have public use, and the other one was RO. Because I think if you see it on the map, you'll see that it's not that many areas that will be, that we will allow food trucks on. And thank you, Councilman Galvin, for allowing me to co-sponsor this item with you. It is something that we've talked about in the city for years. Other cities have their food truck wars. They have their mayor's food truck bash, and they have food trucks on the beach, maybe food trucks on the pier. And it's a way to, I know everyone's looking at the con, but there is a pro to this as well. It will bring people into the area. People, like I know I chase food trucks all the time, and I know it'll bring, maybe a younger crowd, but it'll also bring people to shop. So if you have a boutique, you can pair it up with a nice food truck, and now people are shopping at your boutique. Like I know we have a winery that's getting ready to open up next door. She doesn't have food. So if there's like a food truck on the plaza, maybe that will, entice people to, come out, walk in our city, and also, of course, eat at a good food truck. So I know we're looking at the negative, but there is a positive to this as well. Did you find that for us, Tanya?
Yeah, I just put a map on the screen just to orient the public with what we're looking at. So if you look at all the major corridors of the city, 125th Street, 7th Avenue, Dixie, Biscayne, all of those are zoned commercial. So your industrial districts are only up on the north side where 151st Street is. And then you have some industrial, very small industrial, that's south of 123rd Street. So if we remove all the commercial areas, you're really talking about a very limited area where the food trucks would now be allowed. So with our minimum 2 and with things regarding you have to have the permission of a property owner, I think that will help to contain it so you don't have a proliferation. So Councilman Galvin's approach of just limiting it to industrial district will give you that level of control that you're looking for.
And, go ahead.
One last question for you, Ms. Wilson. If somebody who's outside of the industrial district wants to get a special events permit to do it for a standalone event, can they still do that?
Yes, absolutely. So we haven't touched that section of the code at all. For the temporary use permit, if they have Taste of Nomi or you have Brewfest, by all means, you still can request that and
Special
have it on
events.
a temporary basis. Special events, correct.
And I was going to say, if we limit how many we could have on the commercial, I think that could help also. The point is, we just not trying to hurt our restaurants who's already struggling, and then the police, because what's going to happen, and I know we're thinking about all the positive and all that, that's good, but when you have legislation, you gotta, the population you have, they're gonna be in front of people's houses. And we're gonna be calling every day, there's a food truck here, there's a food truck here, there's a food truck here. And unfortunately, you know, it is what it is because the state said we gotta do it. So that's my only opposition, not to this legislation, in terms of the food truck, is because I know in my district, and I'm only speaking in my district, I know it's gonna be a mess. So Chief, you need to do what you gotta do because everybody gonna be making
So there's a
something.
difference between parking at night and operation.
But they say they can't park at night, right?
No,
They
we,
can't
still,
park.
we didn't.
overnight parking.
Yeah,
so
okay.
we restrict.
That's not gonna affect the residential area.
No, but
as
it's
far
gonna
as
be
parking.
parked in front of the people's house to sell the food.
Right, that's not, that's
No,
not
it's in
legal
it's
now.
residential area.
But I-
They cannot do that.
I know exactly what you guys are saying, but you guys know exactly what I'm saying too. I'm just saying the chief, but I'm okay with it. But just know what we're working with. That's all I'm saying. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Can I hear a motion to approve?
But before I'll make the motion to approve striking the word commercial and
Commercial.
leaving it as industrial
Yeah.
district.
Thank you very much. Madam Clerk,
Second.
you have the motion.
I have a motion made by Councilman Galvin to approve the item at tab M with the adjustment indicated. The motion was seconded by Councilwoman Timothy. Mayor Bieneme, how do you vote?
Yes.
Councilwoman Timothy, how do you vote?
Yes.
Councilwoman Estime Irvin, how do you vote?
Yes.
Councilman Desume, how do you vote?
Yes.
Thank you. Councilman Galvin, how do you vote?
Yes.
The motion carries with a 5-0 vote.
Thank you very much. Now it's tab P.
Tab-
City Attorney. You just after M gotta do P.
Yes, Mayor, thank you. I kind of already discussed it. But as we
May I read the
discussed-
heading?
Oh, I'm sorry.
A proposed first reading ordinance of the Mayor and City Council of the City of North Miami, Florida, providing for the repeal of Chapter 11, Article 5 of the Code of Ordinances, entitled Mobile Vendors and Peddlers, specifically at Sections 11-101 through 11-115, to eliminate the regulation and enforcement of mobile food dispensing vehicles pursuant to Florida Statute Section 509.102, providing for repeal, conflict, severability, codification, and for an effective date. Tab P.
Yes, Mayor, Council. Like I said, we just discussed this earlier in relation to the previous item. Essentially, if you take a look at the ordinance, all it does is completely strike out Chapter 11, Licenses and Business Regulations, Section 11-101, which dealt with mobile vendors and peddlers. Again, that's because the state preempted our ability to license food trucks, and so all it does is remove that section from our code. Sometimes when the state preempts something, we just leave it in the code and we just don't act on it, but it remains in our code. But since we already have this item coming up today, it just felt like it was probably a good time to take this out while we're doing the other item. So that's why you have it here, and we hope you support it.
Thank you very much. Tab P is open to the public. Public is open to tab P.
Esther Blinn, 1990 Northeast 118th Road. As far as a contact, I contacted the co-sponsor of both of these items, which is my council person, and didn't get a response back. That is what I wanted to say, Councilman Galvin. So there are two sponsors to this. Now, as far as my experience with the state trying to take over running city government, you can appeal to the Miami-Dade County League of Cities, the other League of Cities, to push back on that. It's not something you have to roll over and accept. And if you look at historically, when you deregulate something and give something as important as in a pandemic as health, safety, sanitation, and the criteria for licensure over to the county or the state, you're in trouble. I mean, we are in the middle of a mandate, and certainly the restrictions that have been imposed on restaurants, many of them are onerous and have caused huge financial harm. To give food trucks a free pass with all due respect to people who own food trucks, is contrary to the best interest of our city. So with all due respect, Mr. City Attorney, I just don't suggest that we simply just say, okay, because if the school superintendents can say not okay to protect our children, and other businesses can say not okay, where there are mandates that could be enforced to lessen the restrictions on food trucks. If you look inside most food trucks, they don't meet the same criteria as our restaurants.
Thank you very much. Public hearing still open on tab P. Public hearing is now closed. Council members?
Move approval.
Second.
I have a motion made by Councilman
No,
Galvin
you gotta make a comment. We
to
gotta-
approve the item at tab P. The motion was seconded by Councilwoman Estimé Irvin. Councilman Desamay, how do you vote?
See,
Yes.
Councilman Galvin, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mayor Bien-Aimé, how do you vote?
yes.
Councilwoman Timothy, how do you vote?
Yes.
Councilwoman Estimé Irvin, how do you vote?
Yes.
The motion carries with a 5-0 vote.
You are gonna make a comment now? Okay.
Yeah, no, Ms. Blinn had mentioned in reference to the leak of city. I wish we were that powerful, Ms. Blinn, but we're not. In regards to the preemptions, they do their best to try to get us to go to Tallahassee, but Tallahassee does not look like, the rest of South Florida, so we don't have a chance. We just have to just take it. It is what
But
it is.
most of the time, and they have the lobbies, whether it's the Miami-Dade League of Cities or the Florida League of Cities, they have people advocate against those.
No,
but they
yeah,
still find ways to pass it.
yeah, and this is a really
It's not like,
a D and
we don't
an
fight.
R type of issue, and it's been at the national level, the state level. So there's, unless you have a different state in Tallahassee, a different outcome, it's not gonna work. They'll do whatever they want. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Tab N.
Tab N, a proposed first reading ordinance of the Mayor and City Council of the City of North Miami, Florida, amending the official 2036 future land use map to amend the boundary of the city to include the recently annexed area known as the Gratney-Dixie Annexation Area, described as bounded roughly on the north by Northeast 121st Street, to the east by West Dixie Highway, to the south by Northeast 119th Street, and to the west by North Miami Avenue, and establish future land use designations for the properties located in the area, in accordance with Section 163.3184, Section 163.3187, Section 166.041, parentheses 3, parentheses capital C, Florida Statutes 2020. And Article 3, entitled Development Review Division 3, Section 3-302, Sections 3-1104 through 3-1107, Section 3-1109, and Section 3-1110 of the City of North Miami Code of Ordinances, Chapter 29, entitled Land Development Regulations, providing for repeals, Scrivener's errors, codification, and for an effective date. Tab N.
Thank you very much. Let's just quickly. Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. For the record, Tanya Wilson with Community Planning and Development. Both items N and O are companion items. The Mayor and Council recalled that we had an annexation that was approved back in 2020 for an area that we referred to as the Gratney-Dixie area. That's the area that's off of Northeast 119th Street and Dixie Highway. It's a 13-acre area. The area, since it's been annexed, state law requires that you assign a comprehensive plan land use amendment to that area. So it would have a future land use map amendment as well as a zoning amendment. So the first one that you're looking at is a future land use map amendment under item N, and then item O is to assign the zoning. So as you see on the display on the screen, the recommendation is for the current built environment to have the same consistent designation. So you'll see areas like the Family Dollar and the gas station maintaining a commercial designation. You'll see that the school area is future land use of our PU. You'll also see that that vacant parcel, that triangular shaped vacant parcel is being recommended for mixed use high. So that would allow for 45 dwelling units per acre on that site. So this is the recommendation that staff is making. It's required by state law to make sure that those lands have proper land use and zoning designations in place. If the council has any question at this time, staff will be happy to answer it.
Any questions now? What empty lot you talking about?
So there's a tiny parcel. It's under an acre. It's about 0.84 acres in size, right next to the canal. It's next to the Goodwill, actually.
You said they can do mixed use.
So yes, we're recommending mixed use for that site.
They're not required like 2 acres for that?
No, in this case, because it's undesignated, it's just a vacant parcel, we can put mixed use there. If you look at the area, it's not just a little tiny parcel, but it's everything coming down on Dixie Highway. So it's the Ace Construction Property and everything to the end of the street.
Okay. Thank you very much. Public hearing is open on tab N. Public hearing is now closed. Can I hear motion on tab N?
Move. Second.
Just to confirm, Councilman Desame, did you move the item? Yes. Okay, thank you. I have a motion made by Councilman Desame to approve the item at tab N. The motion was seconded by Councilman Galvin. Councilwoman Timothy, how do you vote?
Yes.
Councilwoman Estime Irvin, how do you vote?
Yes.
Councilman Desame, how do you vote?
Yes.
Councilman Galvin, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mayor Bieneme, how do you vote?
Yes.
The motion carries with a 5-0 vote.
Tab O is open to the public. Public hearing is open on tab O.
Tab O, a
yeah.
proposed
Go ahead.
first
Sorry.
reading ordinance of the Mayor and City Council of the City of North Miami, Florida, amending Chapter 29 of the City of North Miami Code of Ordinances entitled Land Development Regulations at Article 1 entitled General Provisions, specifically at Section 1-106 entitled Official Zoning Map, to amend the boundary of the city to include the recently annexed area known as the Gratney-Dixie Annexation Area, described as bounded roughly on the north by Northeast 121st Street, to the east by West Dixie Highway, to the south by Northeast 119th Street, and to the west by North Miami Avenue, and establish zoning designations for the properties located in the area in accordance with Section 166.041, parentheses 3, parentheses capital C, Florida Statutes 2020, and Sections 3-1002, 3-1003, 3-1005 through 3-1007, and Section 3-302 of the City of North Miami Code of Ordinances, Chapter 29, entitled Land Development Regulations, declaring the zoning map amendment to be consistent with the city comprehensive plan, further authorizing the city manager to do all things necessary to effectuate the zoning map amendment, providing for repeal, conflict, severability, codification, and for an effective date. Tab O.
Thank you very much. Public hearing is open on tab O. Public hearing is now closed. Can I hear motion on the dash?
So move.
Second.
I have a motion made by Councilman Galvin to approve the item at tab O. The motion was seconded by Councilwoman Estime Irvin. Councilwoman Estime Irvin, how do you vote?
Yes.
Councilman Desome, how do you vote? Yes. Councilman Galvin, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mayor Bieneme, how do you vote?
Yes.
Councilwoman Timothy, how do you vote?
Yes.
The motion carries with a 5-0 vote.
Thank you very much. Tab Q.
Tab Q. As I read the item, if you plan on speaking, please make your way to council chambers, as I will need to swear every speaker in. You have to stand now. I'm going to read the item first. Tab Q, a proposed quasi-judicial resolution of the Mayor and City Council of the City of North Miami, Florida, approving a modification to the existing conditional use permit approved under resolution number 1637 for the property located at 1820 Northeast 142nd Street, and specifically identified with Miami-Dade County folio number 06-2221-023-0010, to allow a new 9-story 516-unit multifamily building with an attached 8-story parking garage and a 25,259 square foot amenity structure with attached 3-story parking garage in accordance with Article 3, Division 3, Section 3-302, and Article 3, Division 4, Section 3-404 through Section 3-410 of the City of North Miami Code of Ordinances, Chapter 29, entitled Land Development Regulations, providing for an effective date and all other purposes. Tab Q.
Q.
For the record, Tanya Wilson with Community Planning and Development. This is a request for an amendment to an existing conditional use permit. You'll note that this permit has been in place since 1973. This is for the Alera Apartments. Many know it as Portofino. The property, when it was approved back in 1973, allowed for 870 residential units. The request before you is for the property owner to be able to add an additional 516 units to the site to allow for a total development area of 1,386 units. So it's a request to amend the conditional use permit to be able to activate those portions of the site that still remain dormant and allow for that increase in residential density on the space. The conditional use permit has been reviewed by the Planning Commission. Planning Commission did vote favorably, unanimously, to approve the amendment on the conditional use permit. We do have the agent for the applicant here, Mr. Ethan Wasserman, who wishes to speak on the item at this time.
Thank you very much.
You need yours?
All right, so once again, if you'll be speaking on tab Q, please complete a speaker card. And at this time, please stand up. So far, I have Jim Garrett and Joanna Torres on the list of speakers. In addition to that, I have Joe Ehrman, Fred Quinn, Ethan Wasserman, Devin Vickers, Jacob Lucky, Jorge Arboleda, Michelle Latte, Omar Kanan, and Andrew Dolcart. Please at this time stand up, raise your right hand. If you are giving testimony today on the item at tab Q, please rise and raise your right hand as I issue the oath. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give in these proceedings will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? If so, say aloud, I do. Thank you. Please be seated.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Council. Ethan Wasserman with Greenberg Charg, 333 Southeast 2nd Avenue, here on behalf of the applicant. With me here tonight is my client's entire development team, including Joe Ehrman. Tanya covered the project overview, but if you give me 5 minutes, I'll just give some interesting background on this project. This project was originally approved in 1973. That's the original CUP. That included over 800 units. As part of that development, the then owner of the property deeded to the city about 350,000 square feet, or 8 acres, to create the park to the south, which I hope you're seeing on the slide in front of you. Fast forward, there were several recent amendments, but just under 2 years ago, we came before this council to place a garage, an approval for a garage, in the center of the property, right north of the little grass field, south of the Lexus dealership. The idea with that application was to free up parking, surface parking, on the eastern side of the property. And at that hearing, you all asked us, when are you coming back? When are you going to show us what you're bringing forward? And that's the application that's before you tonight. So it's really a two-phase project, and I'll explain why. Phase one is for the amenity building and to create a garage that has about 275 parking spaces. This will allow us to take existing parking, put it in the garage that we build first. And here are some slides of that amenity building: a pool, a gym, a little cafe for the residents within the building. It's a nice addition to the existing community. And then once phase one is completed and we have freed up that parking space on the eastern boundary, we will then build phase two. Phase two has 516 units and a garage containing 821 parking spaces. This is phase two. The planning board recommended unanimously. They like the architecture. You can see the consistency and the compatibility between the old and the new. I do want to go back to the original slide In terms of physical context, this is a very interesting site. Obviously, there's almost like a natural protection of the property. On the east is the FEC rail line completely on our eastern boundary. On the south is the park. On the west is the canal. Further west of us is a single-family residential community. And to our north is the Lexus dealership. So when we were considering the design of this property, I want to emphasize the critical design path of Phase 2 was that it's situated all along the eastern boundary. So the new construction is really for Phase 2 all along the FEC rail line. The FEC corridor, as you all know, is targeted for growth, targeted for transit options. It's really a nice place to put new residential units. The opposite is also true. The western boundary of this property faces the canal and faces the lower scale single-family residential community, so we intentionally put our development towards the eastern side, away from that side of the property. And lastly, it's important to mention, as you can tell from this slide and from our plans, we are not demolishing any of the residential units on site. This is strictly new construction without displacement. These are just some more slides of the building we are proposing. In terms of landscaping, we're adding over 60,000 square feet of native net new canopy. From a larger city perspective, the project will result in significant tax revenue. And this slide that's before you, I want to be very clear, this is just the new component. This is a 23-acre site. There are 5 existing residential buildings. What I'm showing you all tonight is strictly related to the new construction. There are much more benefits to the existing property. Obviously, job creation both in the short term and the long term. It is important to mention this property is not within the CRA, so we cannot ask for funds from the CRA. This is a market rate project, but as the city requires with all CUP applications, we have submitted an economic impact analysis, and that confirms that our rents will generally fall within the moderate income range to workforce housing range. So even though we are not physically income restricting the units, we anticipate or we project that we will fall within those income ranges. We've worked very closely with staff. I want to thank staff for their hard work and patience working with us. We agree with all of staff's conditions of approval. I would ask if there is a motion to approve that include giving staff the authority to delete conditions that have already been satisfied. So that's why I mentioned the park. This CUP has a lot of conditions from the 1970s that are already satisfied. So if you would make a motion to approve, I would like staff to be able to delete or at least mark as satisfied the prior conditions that are no longer applicable. Thank you. Our entire team is, of course, available to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you very much. Now let's open it to the public. Public hearing is open on tab Q. Yes,
Jim,
go ahead.
okay, Jim Garrett, 11111 Biscayne Boulevard, Unit 1A. While I'm speaking on the item is this. Number one, this project was approved in 1973 along with Spinnaker on 135th and Biscayne and Norton, which is later became Greenwich. So that was those 3 projects was approved before the election of 73, which set a 4-story height limitation. The 2 questions we should ask is, number one, with this new project coming aboard with other projects, does old water and sewer system be able to handle the additional capacity on water and sewer, number one? Number 2, the traffic around the facility. We might laugh, but you want to know this? Water is a big issue in South Florida and will be in the next 50 years. Number 2, the traffic. I can tell you this, I cut through there to get to my mom's house down at the Jockey Club. I can tell you that street there by the motor pool is always busy. Traffic backs up right there at the railroad crossing. So my recommendation is that the city work with the developer and improve the roads around there, including the car crossing there in front of the Lexus dealership. We're still dealing with the same roads that we had when I worked for the city between 1985 and 89. Thank you.
Public hearing is still open on tab Q. Public hearing is now closed.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Quick question for the city manager, anybody else who might know. Maybe Mr. Wasserman knows. I think it was y'all who put in a petition to move toward the south, the railroad entrance that currently comes right in front of Lexus, and then people turn left to turn right to come into your property. Is that still pending? Was that denied? Does anybody know?
We worked very closely with DOT, and we actually hosted a community meeting, which is a precursor to making that transition, to making that move. There are some complications in terms of the rail. They view it as two separate applications. It's a closing and it's an opening. And they have, for better or for worse, very unique requirements where they'll let you close, but you have to close 2 to open 1. That's generally their rule. So it's not as simple. We did the geometry, we did the civil work. DOT is supportive. If I remember, the FEC was supportive as well, but it kind of went on hold until we're able to find another crossing to close. They want less penetrations. They don't do 1-for-1, generally speaking. So we did the exercise, it just didn't progress much further than that.
If there's some help you think I can be, or state legislators, please call on us. I mean, 2 for
Certainly.
1 seems a little silly, especially if does it all have to be in the city of North Miami?
No, I think where it comes up a lot is a little further south in Midtown and some of the other areas that developers are assembling large assemblages and they want to close. They kind of force you to find alternate closures. It lets the trains go faster, right? It makes sense. They want to have less crossings for their trains, but it's not so simple for an individual owner to find that opportunity.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much. Councilwoman Timothy. Is it me?
Yes, I know this is long coming. The only issue that I have, you made a request, which I'm not really in line with. I just need a little bit more explanation. You say allow staff to coordinate and do something with the conditions. What does that mean?
There are certain conditions from 1973 that required, for example, dedication of the park. That's why I mentioned the park.
Mhm.
So in 20 years, when someone's looking at this order, it reads as if the dedication didn't occur yet. So because we're going through an approval tonight, I just want, staff is very literal. They only have the authority you give them. I'd like them to be able to just strike.
Of course, but that's why we have the charter in terms of that. So, Mr. Attorney, is his request, when he's saying give staff, because the thing is, I don't like that or feel too comfortable with that, because I don't know what that defines exactly what I'm giving them the broad scope of doing. So if I'm okay with it, but if you want me to add that, I cannot support that as
That's
is
okay.
right now. Okay.
That's
thank you.
okay. No, we don't need it. Thank you.
You don't need to what? You don't need to clean.
It's only just for cleaning up purposes. If it's controversial,
for
we
cleaning
don't need it. It's okay.
That's when you don't
Okay.
have the park.
No, okay, Mr. Mayor, if it's cleaning, it doesn't require us to come back, then that's fine. But because they'll do their job, but obviously if it's sounding like we giving them, I don't want to give permission and then people take, a little bit too much. We have had that situation before, and we don't know exactly what they take. And then we come in here, well, yeah, you did vote in and give us permission. Absolutely nothing towards you. So that's all I'm just saying. Whatever it is, you could come back and let us know. The public will know what they're doing, so it won't be staff and you who's making the decision. I'm in support of it, but I want to be able to, if I'm voting for something, I want to be able to stand up and say, yeah, I did that because I was okay with what it was. Because I don't want staff, and I'm not saying they would do anything, but we had that in the past, where we thought we were doing one thing and they took the whole yard. So that was my comment. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman Estime Irvin.
I have no comment at this time.
Thank you very much, and thank you very much, sir, for the project, and especially when you're going to add affordable housing component in it, and we're very pleased, and I motion the item.
Mr. Mayor.
Can I have a second?
1 second.
Second.
Could you, and I'm not opposed to it, I just want to hear the affordable housing. I apologize, I had to.
Yeah, just to be clear, so we're not income restricting the project, but our projected rents fall within the natural income restriction range for Dade County. So generally, we're between 80 and 140 AMI. That's the moderate to workforce housing, depending on the unit type, but we fall within those ranges in our projected rents.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Councilman Galvin, you second that?
Yes, second.
Yeah.
I have a motion made by Mayor Bieneme to approve the item at tab Q. The motion was seconded by Councilman Galvin. Councilman Galvin, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mayor Bieneme, how do you vote?
Yes.
Councilwoman Timothy, how do you vote?
Yes.
Councilman Desilme?
Yes.
He said yes.
All right. Councilwoman Estimate Irvin, how do you vote?
Yes.
The motion carries with a 5-0 vote.
Thank you all. Have a great night.
Thank you.
Tab R, discussion regarding status of September 14, 2021 council meeting.
Discussion. Council meeting, Madam City Manager. We are tab R, right? Mhm.
So, a majority of the council will be attending the P3 conference based on the P3.
You wanna know if we have?
So this
if we-
discussion is to cancel the September 14th, 2021 council meeting. The majority of the council will be attending for our P3 conference. And
Okay.
so the P3 conference is taking place during that date.
And secondly, we're gonna have two budgeting during the month of September
Correct.
and
We're-
one council meeting.
Yes, so we also have two
CRA
budget
meeting.
meetings, CRA meeting, and
Yeah.
an additional council meeting at the end of the month.
So if there's, just question, Mr. Mayor.
Yes,
through-
go ahead.
Through the chair, city Ms. Manager, I'm so sorry. So if there is an item that we deem to want to put on, since we're canceling this council meeting, could we add it to the workshops or no? Just, or
I would have to,
Jeff?
I think you can do it after the budget workshop. If they had additional items, it would have to be after the formal budget workshop closed, but it could be on that same date.
It could be on the same day, but you have to have your meeting, yeah.
Yeah, we would close that meeting, and then we could add something.
Oh, no,
if
no,
there
I'm
was
just saying,
something.
in the event that we
Yeah.
needed to do something.
Yeah,
If
you
you
just
did-
can't have you can't have items during the scheduled budget meeting.
So you can recess it or stop it and start a new meeting
it.
to add an item on that date. That, and you'd have that availability on September 3rd or September 20. Well, we're about to work on that item, tab S.
So in terms of publishing, Mr. Attorney, if we think that we have it, then we could still then publish it if we wanted to do it during the workshop? I'm talking about if we had a resolution that we wanted to for the agenda.
If there's
I'm
an
just- I'm just
emergency, you always can call an emergency meeting. In the meantime,
Actually, I just want to say something because it was brought up earlier. We published things in the
Can't hear.
agenda to give the
We publish things in the agenda so that the public has an idea of what's on our agenda. There's nothing under the law that says that you can't bring up things at a meeting and vote on it that aren't on the budget, that aren't on the agenda. So if something comes up the day before your budget hearing and you say, hey, I want to bring this up, you can make a motion to
As an
say, hey, let's
emergency
continue
item.
another meeting afterwards and vote it. I mean, there's nothing under the law. You shouldn't, as a practice, do that at every meeting because then that's circumventing giving people notice. But there's nothing, if we put in the newspaper that an item is letter I, that you can't vote on it because you changed it later on to be letter L. So you can change it.
Okay, thank you.
So
everybody agree on, and should we vote? We're not
You need a
up to vote.
motion or anything? or-
yeah, we just need a motion to cancel that.
I make the motion to, yeah.
The reason we're doing this is our code doesn't have any provision on how to cancel meetings.
Okay.
So we had to bring it to you as a discussion. You have to vote on it. That's the only way we
Okay.
can get around it.
I make the motion to cancel the September 14 meeting.
Second.
I have a motion made by Mayor Bienemay to cancel the September 14th, 2021 council meeting. The motion was seconded by Councilwoman Timothy. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries with a 5-0 vote. Tab S, discussion regarding altering second budget hearing date, which is scheduled for Thursday, September 23rd, 2021.
So we are proposing to move the second budget hearing date a day earlier to Wednesday, September 22nd, 2021. There are specific advertising requirements to keep September 23rd based on the dates that we had. And as you know, there were some holidays that gave us issues in terms of picking dates. Miami Herald no longer advertises on Saturdays. And so in order to meet the 3 to 5 business day that we have to from from the 15 days that passed from the first budget hearing, we would have to go to September 22nd as the latest. And we would advertise on a Friday.
Okay. Thank you very much. Do you need a motion on that also?
Motion to approve?
Madam, okay.
And it will still start at 6 p.m.?
Yes, it'll still start at the same time.
Yes.
Is there a second?
Second.
I have a motion made by Councilwoman Estimate Irvin to move the September 23rd, 2021 budget hearing to Wednesday, September 22nd, 2021. The motion was seconded by Councilman Galvin. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries with a 5-0 vote. Tab T, zoning amendments discussion requested by Mr. William Prevotel.
If I may remove the mask. William Prevotel, 11950 North Bay Shore Drive. If I may begin by thanking the mayor, our city manager, and our director of community planning and development for allowing this item to come up for discussion. It's greatly appreciated, and certainly I think you'll see that it's needed. And pardon me for reading some of this, but this is regarding various zoning enhancements in response to health pandemics, enticing development, and raising city revenues. If I may begin, I know that everyone here before me and in this room is proud of our city and wants the best for our city. On the other, we have incredible people, very diversified, smart, responsible, health conscious, and unrivaled elsewhere in the country. Additionally, we have the benefit of our incredible location. Remarkable people and remarkable location that is the envy of much of our country. Between financial areas, access to the ocean, access to cruise ships and airline terminals, to the islands, we truly have a remarkable location. It is a pleasure and an honor to live in this location. That said, we have two that I can, amongst many things, but two major concerns before us. One is our aging infrastructure, our water supply, and our sewer systems, which are 50, 60, and in some cases 90 years old, and have proven to be a bit of a burden, and it will be an increasing burden as we see elsewhere around the globe as time goes on and the climate changes. In addition to that, we could possibly fix the infrastructure, but in addition to that, we are faced with, somewhat uniquely, the rising water table. We're faced with a situation that our remarkable people and our remarkable location will eventually go underwater. What can we do about that? They are daunting, daunting tasks. And there are things that we might be able to do now. I know that the council and the rest of the city staff have been very pro-development of late, but we may need to reevaluate that and become even more supportive of redevelopment. Because in essence, we need to lift our city up a number of feet. In the process of lifting it up a number of feet in some capacity, some form or fashion, we also need to replace that infrastructure. I'm not saying that this is what will happen, but you could almost imagine if we lift every roadway up 10 feet, we would also replace that water supply and sewer system with new lines going in that area, going back to their sources. And we would have to then accommodate the homes, the residences, and the other businesses. Whatever structure and infrastructure we have, that would have to be raised as well, as best as possible, and as soon as possible. A few things that could be addressed to help us to, in the immediate time of getting something that what we would like to be, what is the city that we envision and what do we want to see happen? Well, if you go down 125th down to 123rd Street right now, and you cross over Biscayne, you'll see just a little further than LA Fitness that we now have going up a self-storage facility with what appears to be zero setback, which appears to be not an inviting element for our city on one of our main thoroughfares. And we have to ask, why is that? Did we want that? Did we ask for that? And the truth is, we really didn't. We really envisioned something bigger, better, more accommodating, more inviting, something we want to actually go visit, not just a utilitarian structure. And we need to accommodate that in our zoning language a little bit better. If I may read off some items, 3 items to start. 1, exempt the lower 25 feet of height from an allowable building height restriction in all zones if used for pedestal parking, which is below the tower of a building, more spacious lobbies, breezeway features, retail, etc. So if we want to see nice features below new construction, we should make that happen. If we're limiting the height of a structure, that forces developers to do their whatever usage it is, whether it be residential or office space, whatever it might be, to use up every one of those feet during on that function. If we, on the other hand, said, look, if you don't put the function down these lower 25 feet or so, we will give you that height so that you can have something nice there. Again, wonderful lobbies, breezeways, public spaces. There's so many things that could be done as long as they don't feel a pressure to say, oh, I have to get one of those income-producing things that we have above. I still have to get that in there also. No, they'd be given an opportunity to do something that's better and still have the essential function above the building. That could apply as well from not just the lower parts of the building, but to also accommodate on the roof, whether there are features on the roof of 1 or 2 floors as well, and that could become exempt. 2, increase the allowable building height in multifamily residential designations to match the Solomia, which is 450-foot maximum height parameter, for various zones around the city. It doesn't have to necessarily match Solomia, but just so we know, the current height there is 450 feet, and parking is exempt. You do not have to account for that in that 450 feet. It could be 100 feet of parking, and therefore you're at 450 feet. So if we can, again, not clamp down various parts of the city, various new construction, then we would be able to have these bigger, better structures, which then provide additional revenue, which then provide new infrastructure, which replace the infrastructure, which take out the existing older buildings, which are going to be a headache for us, not just in the distant future, but the next hurricane. All these wood frame buildings and such, the sooner we can take these out and relocate people into stronger hurricane-resistant construction will be better for us. We move on to the 3rd. Facilitate live-work arrangements as a viable building type for new multifamily buildings, provided ample space, light, and power is planned to meet office requirements. I've always believed that a live-work arrangement is a very productive way to live, especially if you're in an urban area and you can then go downstairs and get your other services and such, as I'm saying, to use those other levels for whether it be restaurants and gyms and coffee shops. But we should be able to accommodate buildings with live-work arrangements. I'm not talking about, oh, we have an apartment building and someone's allowed to put a desk in their bedroom. That's not it. You want to have something where you might be able to have, and people in the building would know, especially when it's new construction, everybody would know going in that this building has people living in it, and they also may be using it for work functions, that they may have some people come up and work. We're not talking about anything industrial, nothing hardcore, nothing noisy. We're talking about there are many, many businesses of people working at home, and now we know now more than ever during the pandemic how many people can work at home, but we've gone through a practice pandemic. We're now going into something that may be a little bit more real. This may not end anytime soon, and at some point there will be another health situation. Let's try to accommodate in this city. Let's try to not be so exclusive. This is only residential, this is only commercial, and so on. As I've said before,
You have 30 seconds.
sadly, we don't have too much first-class residential, first-class office. This is a chance of combining them and getting the best of both. I ask that the council forward these thoughts to the Planning Commission so that they might review it and discuss it in further detail. And if I may, Kevin Seifried, a former chairman, left a message. If that could be read into the record, that would be greatly appreciated. I believe our city clerk has it. And thank you all very much for your consideration.
Thank you very much. Tanya, do you have anything to add? Any comments now about these? I think Mr. Privatel said just a text amendment can change that.
Correct. So in terms of the process, Mayor and Council, it would require a text amendment to the city's land development regulations. Looking at the request from Mr. Privatel, some of these heights represent a 300% increase in the average height in, for instance, an area like the BZ zone that allows for 11-story. If it's suggested that it goes to 45-story, you're talking about a 300% increase. So I would say rather than going immediately to the LDRs and beginning with text amendments, that we carefully study these requests, look at the potential impacts to neighboring districts, particularly the single-family districts is my concern. Some of these multifamily areas do neighbor single-family districts. If you're talking about increasing heights to 45 stories in all these multifamily districts, you're going to have some shadow effects and impacts on these low-rise single-family areas. So I think it needs to be properly studied rather than rapidly responding to this with a text amendment. I'd like to see that carefully considered so that we are having orderly development within the city. So that's my professional recommendation.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And now, Citizen Forum.
Citizens Forum.
Something to read.
That
It's
is
at
only if the
Citizen
mayor,
Forum.
if the mayor allows me to read it, I can
It's
read
at
it, but since
Citizen
it's
Forum.
Citizens Forum, I can
Yeah.
read it now.
No, at Citizen Forum.
Kevin Seafried, 12665 Northwest 8th Avenue, North Miami, Florida,
No,
331.
Madam Clerk, let him speak first, and then after that we will
That's
go.
fine.
Yeah, since he's
Thank you,
here.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
Jim Garrett, 1111 Biscayne Boulevard, Unit 1A. First, I would say to everyone who's watching on TV, wear a mask and get vaccinated. This weekend, I went to a funeral, 2 open caskets from the same body, from the same family. That's my message to all North Miami on that point. Number 1, congratulations, City Manager, on your first anniversary with us. I did enjoy your budget workshop on July 15th. Your predecessors and his deputy never gave us the true numbers. You gave us the true situation of our city. Our city council should follow her message at the 1 hour point about a water and sewer system. We cannot delay it no more. We have to address it. And on that, right now, my second residence is in North Palm Beach. We get monthly bills. And we have an authority. The 5 cities up there cannot run their water and sewer department. It was just too small. And we include Palm Beach Gardens. So all 5 cities got together about 25 years ago, and went to a semi-government authority with every representative. And they have, it's going to happen here. I hope I'm wrong, but we're going to have to merge with NMB. We're going to have to go to authority. The price tag is too high. I've seen it in Fort Lauderdale, the price tag, and I see the price tag in Hollywood, unless we get a grant. Number 3 on my items tonight is parks. I'm for parks. We need improvement at Sunkist Grove in District 4. We need improvement at Basad in District 2. And we need improvement in Enchanted Forest in District 1. Those top lots are all. And for one person tonight Don't judge a book by its cover.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, public hearing. Citizen forum.
Kevin?
Again, William Prevotel, 11950 North Bay Shore Drive. What I said earlier was regarding, was some general themes to be discussed with the Planning Commission. It was not to say everybody to go a certain height. It was to study that, where we can increase height, where we can allow space down below, where we can allow space above, where we can have live-work situations. It's just to enhance our zoning throughout. That's what it is. And that should be a discussion amongst the Planning Commission. Be glad to articulate many of those elements at that point with the Planning Commission. And if I may, speaking of the Planning Commission, may the city clerk read a letter from former chairman, 30-year veteran of the Planning Commission, Kevin Seifried, who wrote in response to these thoughts, if we could. From the city clerk
You have 2 minutes. Are you done? That's your public, that's citizen forum.
Yes.
But you took the time, you didn't.
Can she read into the record because it was sent to the city clerk?
You won't let me if you're still standing there.
I'm
So
sorry?
he's asking you if you're finished so that I may
I'll be
read
finished
it.
so you can read. Yes. Thank you very much for your consideration.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Kevin Seifried, 12665 Northwest 8th Avenue, North Miami, Florida, 33168. Mayor and council, having spent 30 years on our planning commission, I believe these suggestions gave great merit. Their benefits, if implemented, will add value to our housing stock. The benefits would outweigh objections. These are valuable and timely enhancements to our land development regulations, and I fully support them without question.
All set, Madam Clerk.
That is it for previously submitted comments.
Thank you very much. Citizen forum is now closed. Council reports. District 3.
Good evening, everyone. It seemed like the last council meeting we were here, we were talking about Haiti and our condolences to the head of state. And then it's just so sad again to start this session talking about the devastation that happened with the earthquake, the 7.2 earthquake that happened in Haiti. And I'm just so saddened by that. One of the things that I wanted to do, Mr. Mayor, and I think, I don't know if you would want to co-sign this with me, I wanted to do a sister city for Jérémie, because I know that that's one of the places that has been impacted now, so that, you know, there was, well, I'd like to make a resolution to do that. I don't know if we could bring it up next time, but I wanted to bring that up. So our prayers are to the families that have been impacted by this. I know I have a lot of residents. One of them that is very active with us is Rose Grand-Pierre. I know she's from that town and she's been affected. We have Adrien and Nicolas that also been affected, and so many of you that I have spoken to that you're worried about your loved ones. We have Jackie Serafin. I think there's, I was told that on some blocks, there were like 14 homes down, only one up, and it's just, you know, when it rains, they you know, they're all wet because they're afraid to get into their homes, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But I'm also a member of the National Haitian American Elected Official, and I'm just so very proud that we us along with the city, we had a prayer vigil, and we are asking as an organization to donate funds to that organization so we can help out Haiti, or anyone that's helping out Haiti. I'm sure the chairman of that organization will speak more about that. But on a brighter note, I want to say happy school year to the students. Thank you to the administrators, teachers, security guards, cafeteria workers, personnel, janitors, crossing guards, bus drivers, police officers, librarian, after-school programmers, and coach who will play an intricate role in our children's development and success. And I wish you all a safe and healthy, productive, and successful school year. Thank you to my colleagues for reappointing the North Miami Council students, ages 15 to 18 that will have an opportunity to apply There's still an opportunity to apply if you are interested. If you parents are listening and your child is between 15 and 18, please, I would encourage them to get involved and to understand what we do here locally. And this is an opportunity for them. They can still call mayor and council. They could speak to Rosny or Patricia for more information about that. And that's, oh, yes. Also, tomorrow, we have, FDOT is going to have a meeting here at City Hall at 6 o'clock. This is going to be regarding 6th Avenue. So I encourage you guys to come out and hear the developments or what FDOT is proposing to do on 6th Ave. And that's all. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much. Councilman Desilme.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and good evening, everyone. Well, good night, actually. It's almost 10 o'clock. I want to echo my colleague, Councilwoman Irving, in reference to the situation that occurred in our beloved land of Haiti, which North Miami is not only the largest city with Haitian American reside inside the U.S., but we also the first city in the whole U.S. who has a supermajority on the city council. So although we have not, a lot is being looked at, and then of course we have our city clerk who are so.
She was born in Chicago. She was like
the city clerk in Chicago. So it's Cassandra, she was born here. So again, something we all know that's going on in the world. Not only our brothers and sisters in Cuba, which we stand in solidarity with, but in Afghanistan. So we know things are not normal. And I know we are trying to make it normal. We are trying to do what we do, but things are not right. And I think we all of us know we a little bit, something is happening. So I do give people the benefit of the doubt because of this new, I don't even know if this is what you could call it, but this is the normal we have to learn how to live with, I think. But to this end, and I do have to go and let my other colleagues speak. I know my colleague Estimate Irvin mentioned the opening of school, as well as some of the relief efforts that we are doing. You could check the city sites and other things. And I am very, very proud of all of my colleagues who are Haitian American. We have a network which we are very united in terms of working together for the betterment of the residents, of all residents here. But of course, when it comes to foreign policy, although we are local officials, but we end up being also foreign policy officials as well, because we do not have a member of our delegation in Congress. So again, keep Haiti, Afghanistan, Cuba, and the whole world in North Miami in your prayers, because we really need that if you believe in that. But we hope you do that. You continue to pray. And these kids who are going back to school in this fight, I am so proud of my colleagues on as legislators on the school board who have made the right decision in Broward County and all that. This is serious. This morning, you guys probably saw me back and forth trying to do. I got a very disturbed call. Somebody very close to me died this morning of COVID. And I just learned that another of our very close employee families not doing good because of COVID. And so it's a trend. And these folks are dying. And all they are dying is because they did not take the vaccine.
They refused to take
the
vaccine.
So no matter what, it's, and I'm not going to get into it because people make their own decision, but we certainly need everyone out there, wear your mask. And if you don't take the vaccine, wearing the mask doesn't really help you. I just want you to know that in a way, because I think they think that if you wear your mask, if you don't take the vaccine, you're okay if you stay away from people, which really don't. It's for us who do take the vaccine, we trying to wear the mask so that we could protect ourselves. And in the case, if we do get COVID, which we may, we won't be as injured, and the fatality in terms of COVID is not as bad as we are hearing. And I have not heard of anyone that I personally know. I may have heard of a smallest number who have died since the vaccine is out. So in my community, not only they suffering in Haiti, but Over here, they're getting stuff on WhatsApp and on Facebook. And the person who passed this morning, she up until the last thing, it was like, she's not taking it because of whatever the reason was. And, we all have an expiring date, and God has a thing for us, and it is what it is, but we have to do our part. I don't think none of us want to jump out there and take the vaccine, but we have to, because that's what works. So, I know me as an educator, I go by the science. So please do what you do. It's real. And people are dying day and day and day. And we'll do the best that we can, and that also impact mental health, because folks who was not too tight are now a little bit loose. So folks who were tight, it's an iffy situation. So do understand people, do understand what they're going through, but you got to do your part out there, my residents, everybody, please, just listen to your trusted people, wear your mask, wash your hand, 6 foot distance, and take the damn vaccine. Thank you.
Thank you very much. First of all, I have to thank the residents of the beautiful city of North Miami for supporting Haiti, because for over a week, and they make Costco, Publix, and other stores busy, very busy, and by helping the people of Haiti. And I want to thank Councilman Scott Galvin for his effort. And in a few days, we were able to collect a lot of goods, and they're already in Haiti, in the hand of the people. That's mean, thank you for your effort. Thank you for your support. And I have to thank Chief and for his effort also. I have to thank Miami Dolphins and Champ United, and a lot of organizations and people throughout the city who donate and help Haiti pass this earthquake, the 7.2 earthquake that hit the country on the 14th of this month. That's mean, we are resilient. Whether we receive help or not, we're going to get to that. But thank you very much to the residents of North Miami who contribute and help us during this difficult time. And what else do we have? That's it. And the only comment that I have, Madam City Manager, I received several emails about the library, and it seems like in your upcoming proposed budget, you're going to cut the hours. And the library is very important to us, so we'd like to see the library open 6 days a week. If we have to close something else, but we have to keep the library open and full hours, and because the kids need it, please. That's been, if you have to cut something else or close something else, but the library is something that we cannot touch, okay? Thank you very much. And
can I just say one thing? Go ahead.
Yes.
Real quick. I got the same.
That's my report.
That's your report? Oh, okay. I received the same email, and I didn't know what the people were talking about because I haven't seen anything. So how did the public get to know something before we did? Did somebody leak? Do you have a proposed budget that's out?
I do not have a
Okay,
proposed budget.
and that's what I told I replied back. She said she do not.
No. I think what Councilman DeSome is talking about is that during COVID, the hours were reduced.
No.
No, the library hours were reduced from 56 hours to 30 hours, and in the upcoming budget year, we don't know where we're going to restore them.
No. This person, there's some people who knew. You were telling me that, based on some emails. So I was like, well, I don't know, because I can't really.
Yeah.
But we just want to make sure, whether it's rumors or whatever it
we don't
is,
know.
we'd like to see the library open 6 days a week.
That's very unfortunate.
Now, Councilman Galvin, your report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for
Your mic.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you for your kind acknowledgement of the residents' donations. I can't really take any credit. It was the AIDS Healthcare Foundation that chartered the plane, excuse me, and then took the items to Haiti over the last couple of days. But thank you, and thank you, AIDS Healthcare Foundation. Madam City Manager, have you heard anything at all on census data for North Miami?
My understanding is that it's coming out about September, October. Yeah.
So
That
even,
final census information will come out at the end of next month or the beginning of October.
okay.
Yeah.
I'm obviously I keep scrolling around on the internet trying to find something.
But the information is out there. I think
There's some,
there's
I
a
think
meeting for tomorrow.
people
about
have
the-
put
yeah.
some documents together about a little bit of it, but the official census information is planned to come out in about a month or so. But there have been articles about different areas of information that's been on the census, but the full census information that we would be able to rely upon hasn't been out yet.
Thank you very much.
And then the last thing I have is a little celebratory. This Saturday night, Luna Star Cafe right across the street celebrates its 25th anniversary. Alexis, excuse me. Alexis has been open for 25 years, believe it or not. So this Saturday at 8 o'clock, they're having open mics and they're, selling beers, and it's just going to be a big old celebration. But I've always been very proud of Alexis and Luna Star because
I would be singing.
And drinking.
because I drink beer. But really, she outlasted a Starbucks that used to be here. She's outlasted a lot of other restaurants and things. And there's a strong businesswoman who has pulled herself and her business up. So I will be there Saturday evening. I hope anybody else who can be will be there to help Luna Star Cafe celebrate its 25th anniversary. That's all I got, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much, Councilwoman Cassandra Timothy.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to remind everyone to just take a deep breath. I think right now it is a very challenging time. We're still battling this pandemic. Buildings are falling, earthquakes are happening, and just be mindful of how we treat each other during this time, because it's I think mental health is going to be at the forefront for the next couple of months. I know mine is, so please be aware before you step to me. Also, for my back to school experience that I had back on Wednesday the 18th, I just want to take a moment to thank Team of Hope, who donated over 800 book bags to this experience. Also, Extended Hands, who gave over 75 book bags, and they also provided dresses for the little girls, and they'll be back to do something for the boys. It's an organization that partners with Beyonce's Bay Good, and they had all new clothes from Children's Place and so forth, and they're looking forward to partnering with the city for more resources. And also thank you to all the city staff who volunteered and who helped out, police. It was a great event that Wednesday. Also, we know it's back to school. I put up some fence banners throughout the city wishing everyone back to, a successful back to school year. I know we can't be there in the school to wish everyone a successful year, but to all the teachers, students, and even the parents who are battling these 3-hour parent pickup lines. I know I have to pick up a little one on Friday. It's horrible. So my prayers are with you all. And lastly, thank you to everyone who also donated medical supplies. I was able to drop off some of those medical supplies off to the Smile Trust this Friday, and I know some of them made them on your plane. Residents reached out, and I know medical supplies was something that was on the top of the list of what Haiti needed right now. And just remember to smile. Thank you.
Thank you very much. No more reports. Can I hear? Madam Clerk.
You'd love to try it. Thank you. So first off, of course, happy back to school to all of our students. I hope that it is a safe and successful one. I want to thank Councilwoman Timothy and Mayor Bien-Aimé, Councilman Alex Desome for graciously hosting me at their back to school events. I want to also say congratulations to Councilwoman Cassandra Timothy for being selected as Legacy Miami's 40 under 40. She is one of them. And also, Dr. Madam Chief of Staff, Dr. Lewis, Dr. Rochelle Lewis in the back. Congratulations to you as well. You were also nominated, and that is a wonderful, it's a wonderful thing to have recognized amazing people amongst us in North Miami. And so, ladies, welcome to the family of Legacy Miami folks. I don't know how people's passports expire, because mine I renew my passport. How do y'all let your passports expire? I don't know. But then y'all come to the office
I went to the
and
airport
you
with an
say
expired
to me,
passport.
you say to me, I need my passport expedited. I tell you we can't do that, and I tell you how long it's gonna take, and y'all get mad at me. So, when you get home tonight, everybody check your passports, please. Know that they're taking about 18 weeks, all right, to come back. So please go check your passports, get them in. I think you could do it up to 9 months early, so please go ahead and do that. I wanna let everyone know that we're trying to keep a cleaner environment. Part of that is staying greener, but also Delta is out there. So in terms of the quasi-judicial speaker cards, we're trying to get it so that you scan. Thank you, Jim Garrett, for using the feature. We're trying to go paperless as much as possible. So if you could submit them in advance, that would be amazing. I also want to thank everyone for their support of Madam, how do I turn this? Madam Clerk. It's a coloring and activity book, and I created it along with my team, my intern Leila Duvivier, with my assistant clerk, Summer Jones, and our constituent aide, Laura Munoz. We created this activity book because we really thought that it was extremely, extremely important that people become more engaged with their city, and part of that is just knowing what's in your city and all of the resources. So I want to really thank the staff as well, because you all contributed to this document. Y'all didn't actually know what we were doing. We were just asking you for information, and y'all allowed us to get that information quickly, and we were able to compile it into this activity and resource book. And so I encourage you all to please pick one up on your way out, stop by the clerk's office, and grab a copy for yourself. One of the things that I really wanted to say, and that's been really on my heart, is this topic of Haiti. And we won't go through all of what happened and how people were affected. I want to first start off by really thanking people for their support and for showing up for Haiti in the ways that you have. I think that I've never felt more love from the community, right? Showing up in these times when Haitian people, when Haiti needs you the most. But I do want to say that Haiti is a jewel, right? Haiti is a jewel. It is a treasure that is oftentimes undervalued. And one of the narratives that we always hear about Haiti is the fact that Haiti is the poorest nation in the Western Hemisphere, right? I'm personally tired of hearing that narrative. And I wouldn't be a good daughter to Haiti if I allowed that narrative to continue to perpetuate itself. And so what I'm asking people to do is really consider how you give to Haiti in its time of need, right? We understand that there is a fragile local economy in the country already. And what we don't want to do is keep Haiti the poorest nation in the Western Hemisphere. And so the way, right, that we shift that narrative is by thinking critically about what we're contributing to Haiti. And those are the items that cannot be found in Haiti. So things like chips can be found in Haiti. Water can be found in Haiti. A lot can be purchased on the ground in Haiti. And so let's uplift Haitian people. Let's uplift Haiti by contributing those items that are necessary. For example, medical supplies. And let's also consider how we're getting those items there. If it's going to cost us way too much money to take that down there, let's figure out how we can purchase these items on the ground. And let's not automatically think first of importing paid labor, but let's think about where can we find that labor on the ground. And I think then we'll start to see a shift not only in Haiti, but in our communities over here in the United States. And so I implore everyone, as much as possible, give financial contributions to Haitian-led organizations who are doing this work on the ground or who have committed to partnering with organizations on the ground to assist Haiti in its rebuilding efforts. And lastly, I'm going to move just a little bit. Chief Jariga, I don't want to get emotional because I know you know what I recently suffered. And I just want to thank you. And I was having a conversation with a few of your officers, and the reason that they are the way that they are is because of your leadership. I lost someone who became a friend of mine. And all her family could tell me was how gracious and supportive the North Miami Police Department have been. And it was a tragic loss, a tragic event. But I am so grateful for the way that you all handled it and continue to handle it. I can't thank you enough, truly, and I know I say thank you to you all the time, and I tell you that I'm grateful for you and the entire police department. But I'll keep saying it because you need to hear it. And I hope that if you do ever decide to leave, or when you decide to leave, that we have somebody who can really step into those shoes, because you've really done so much for us, and I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful. So thank you. That's it.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Chief. And City Attorney report.
No report, Mayor.
Madam City Manager.
Just a few items. First of all,
We can't hear you.
just a few items. First, obviously, the earthquake in Haiti. I just want to thank all of the residents and everyone who came forward and helped, and also specifically to the staff last week as the earthquake happened. They were ready on hand to assist in every single way that they were asked to. So I just want to say thank you to everyone in North Miami and the staff, and I also want to thank the residents for all of the donations. A couple of, I want to also just update the residents on our building inspections. We have been continuing to do building inspections across the entire city. Currently, as of Friday, August 20th, we had 896 properties that have been inspected. 848 of those properties had no visible problems evident. 28 of those properties had some minor repairs. 4 properties had a finding that required a licensed contractor or an engineer, and 3 properties require immediate intervention, and those are being addressed immediately. We will continue to go through the buildings throughout our entire city until we can get through what is approximately about 1,700 buildings that would be prepared for a 40-year research. So just wanted to let the residents know that the city is continuing this effort, and we're working on the effort. Additionally, a couple of announcements. The North Miami Library is celebrating Card Sign-Up Month in September. So new card holders may sign up for a library card, refer a friend, and be entered to win a $25 Amazon gift card. And finally, as the summer is waning, we are still going to have the Sasso pool open. It'll remain open until Tuesday, September 7th. The pool opens Thursday through Monday from 12 noon to 6 p.m. That's all.
That's it. Thank you very much. Can I have your motion to adjourn? Second. Thank you very much. And
Motion to
good
adjourn
night.
made by Councilman Galvin, seconded by Mayor Bieneme. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries with a 3-0 vote. It is now 9:51.
Thank you very much. Good night, everybody.